Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter GameDay Show, energized by Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. We've got the Bucs and Eagles on Monday Night Football coming up in just about 1 hour. Matt Matera is at Ray J with SR and Adam Slavon. So I am your host, Bailey Adams, and I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Josh Capo. Before we dive into all of the pre-game analysis on Bucs Eagles, let's hear from our friends at Celsius.
We all bleed the same. We all bleed the same.
We love Celsius. That is right. Celsius, the official energy drink of PewterReport.com. You can get them at your local grocery stores, convenience stores, local bodegas, of course. And if you don't know where else you can find them, there you go, Josh. You can find them on the store locator on Celsius.com. You can find where they have Celsius. Many different flavors, as you can see here. As Matt Matera would say, variety is the spice of life. So you can get a variety pack. Sometimes at your bodegas, at your grocery stores, or you can order in bulk on Amazon, and you can save some money on Subscribe and Save. Not as late of a kickoff here for a primetime game. It's a 7:15 kickoff, so we might not need a multiple Celsius day. But like I said earlier, I am here with my colleague and friend, Josh Capo. Josh, how are we tonight?
Well, I was doing great till I saw one of those banners behind your right shoulder.
It's funny. I was catching up on some of the Pewter GameDay Show from last week, and Matt opened up by talking about USF's game against Alabama, and I thought, I'm not going to do that. We're not doing that here.
We're not going to talk about how out of the two teams in the Orlando-Tampa area, one of them got a win on Saturday, the other took an L.
Consider the opponent. That's all I'll say. Consider the conference. Consider that you needed Rice's quarterback to go down with an injury.
You know what? I'll take it. We have 100% more wins than we did last year.
100% fair. Hey, congrats to you guys. We love it for you. Happy for you.
But we're here to talk about the Bucs, right?
Yes. Bucs, Eagles.
Alma maters.
Bucs, Eagles. How are we feeling about this one, Josh?
You know what? After the Cardinals beat Dallas and Houston beat the Jacksonville, fuck it, the Bucs are gonna win.
I mean, I look at this one and I'm like, yeah, I don't see it. But then it's like, why not? Who even knows with this week? Of course, this one is a 5.5 point. Phillies favored by 5.5 points according to MyBookie. Of course, you can get your bets in there on mybookie.ag up until game time. So get on there. Philly's a 5.5 point favorite. We'll get into our score predictions later on. We'll see if we have any deviations from where we were when we published Pewter predictions last week. But 5.5 points, I think I had them losing by 11. Maybe not feeling the same way now, but we will talk about that later. But first, we do need to get to the game day inactives for this week 3 game between the Bucs and Eagles. Kalijah Kancey, as expected, and Servassier Dennis were ruled out on Friday. I believe it actually would have been Saturday. Carlton Davis is the big one who will miss his second straight game with a toe injury. And there's Marquise Watts, Brandon Walton, Payne Durham, and Deidrin Sanat. Josh, the big one obviously is Carlton Davis, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, because the Bucs are not playing the Bears this week, so you would assume that Philly is going to utilize their wide receivers. They definitely have a quarterback who's willing to pull the trigger and throw the ball to open receivers. So Zion McCollum, he had let's not take anything away. He did have a very good game. He was the best outside receiver on the Bucs team last week, filling in for Carlton Davis. So he's going to have a much better game because Philly is going to probably try and test him, unlike Chicago did. And he's going to have to be ready because Philly has 2 good receivers. And I want to say both are playing. I can't remember if Devonta Smith is playing. I'm pretty sure he is. So between him and A.J. Brown, McCollum and Dean are both going to be tested. McCollum had a great game. Dean has not looked himself so far this season.
Yeah, that's kind of been surprising to me. And also want to say what's up to everyone in the chat to see your comments rolling in already. And so someone said here, it was Piccolo 19 says that Dean needs to step up because it really has been weird to see Jamel Dean not really look like himself in the first 2 weeks of this season. I don't know. You dive into the film pretty deep, Josh. Is there anything you're seeing from him that's different than what we're used to? And because he's been one of the more consistent players for the Bucs over the years.
Yeah, he has. So I'm sure there's probably a narrative that's starting to build because Dean signed a big contract in the offseason, right? He got his second contract. He got his guaranteed money. So with that and poor play over the first couple of weeks, the narrative starts to build that, he got his bags and he's not trying as hard. For a cornerback, you would first see that in terms of their tackling and their run defense. And he's still been really good as a tackler. And he's still been really good setting the edge in run defense and contributing there. So it's not an effort thing there. He's just not as reactive in terms of pinching down on shorter routes. He's not following through on digs and things like that. He's just allowing a ton of separation. I'm not sure what to make of it at this point, but I'm not willing to go to the whole effort thing, the contract thing, because cornerbacks are kind of prima donnas by nature, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. And you would think that he wouldn't be trying as much in terms of like the tackling and the run defense, and that's all still there. So I'm not sure, to be completely honest. I wish I had an answer. It'd make me sound a lot smarter than I am right now.
Well, it's funny because you thinking about on that point, Jamel Dean, when he got the contract extension, he said all the right things. I'm just saying, I want to be a leader for these young guys in the secondary. I know we're going to have a younger team. He wanted to step up as a leader. And I know he's been doing that out on the practice field and all that. But yeah, to see him not have the best first 2 games of the season, a bit of a surprise. And they will need him to step up tonight when they've got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith out there. Of course, without Carlton Davis, it's a little concerning at this point, I think, with the toe injury. Those things can be nagging. Those things can be obviously extremely important. So maybe it's a thing where he's not quite ready yet. They want to have him ready for the Saints next week, but we will continue to see what the deal is with Carlton Davis. But a couple of inactives, or a couple of the big ones that were inactive for the Eagles were Quez Watkins and Boston Scott. But I mean, this is a team that has a lot of weapons so far. We've seen them start 2-0, just like the Bucs. And how about the NFL schedule makers? I feel like when the schedule came out, it was like the Bucs and the Eagles on Monday night. Like, it just felt like. And I was even higher on the Bucs this offseason than a lot of people were. But nationally, it was like this Bucs team is going to stink. And I was like, what a weird option for a Monday night game. And here they are. They get a 2-0 versus 2-0 matchup. What have you made of the Eagles so far this year, Josh?
I mean, I expected them to be 2-0, but I don't think that I expected them to struggle as much as they did. Week 1, they barely got out of the game against the Patriots, and the Patriots are always going to have a very stifling defense. But so far, I want to say year to date, they're only middle of the pack in terms of their offense. I expected that to be a bit higher. So I think that if there isn't opportunity to get the Eagles, now is a great time to get them, because that offense still isn't clicking to the point where you have A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, arguing on the sidelines last week. So they're not firing on all cylinders. And that gives the Bucs a puncher's chance. I would say that. It's still scary in the trenches. I mean, the Bucs are overmatched there, and I know the offensive line has looked good for the first 2 weeks, but they have not gone up against a defensive line the caliber of Phillies and how much they can just rotate guys in and out and in and out. And that kind of gets me to the first thing that I'll be looking for is, can Robert Hainsey step up? Because he's had a rough 2 weeks, and he's going up against some dudes. They're 4 deep in that interior defensive line, and some of their best play has come from their interior defenders. So that's the first thing that I'm going to be looking for. If the Bucs have any chance at winning, Hainsey's got to step up.
He definitely does. We'll definitely get into the what to look for on offense and defense, and we'll talk some matchups here. But we do want to remind everyone, of course, that this podcast and this Pewter GameDay Show is energized by Celsius. I had myself a peach vibe this morning.
Nice.
Thinking about diving into maybe a fantasy vibe here as the night goes on. But yeah, I mean, look at all these amazing flavors you got on here. You got the sparkling orange, of course, a classic. I like to go with the non-carbonated sometimes, the peach mango green tea. All the vibes, of course. You got the newer Oasis vibe. You've got Cosmic Vibe, the newest of the vibes. All of them fantastic. We love Celsius here at Pewter Report. But Josh, let us dive in to this matchup a little bit more. We've got a lot to get into because this is a very interesting matchup. We'll start here when the Bucs are on offense. Some of the things to watch out for, and we'll get on to the Robert Hainsey and the whole offensive line thing. We kind of want to talk a little bit more about how the Bucs have started on offense the first 2 weeks of the season. Definitely a very, very slow start against Minnesota. I know everyone remembers that. And it might have gotten lost a little bit in the shuffle last week against the Bears, but that first half, they were moving the ball pretty well, but they were settling for field goals in the red zone and not having the most success. Didn't really get a lot of separation, and it paid later on as the Bears got back in the game.
Yeah. Despite all of that, I think two things that I'm going to be looking for is A, can the Bucs, who are now the only offense in the NFL without a turnover, can they maintain that streak against Philly? And then B, can Baker continue to kind of create out of structure, which he is doing at a level not previously seen from him since his college days. Yeah, his athleticism, he's a good athlete for his position, but I don't think that he's really in that echelon of a Jalen Hurts right across the field from him, where he can live out of structure like Hurts or Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or any of these other guys. But through the first 2 weeks, he has. I mean, the Chicago game, he was pressured a lot more than I think any of us probably want to concede. But in reality, Chicago had him in their grasp like 7 different times and still had no sacks to show for it. One of my favorite things that I tweeted out in that game is I'm pretty sure Baker rubbed himself down in Crisco on Sunday, right? Because everybody was just slipping off of him. So if those two things can continue, I think that elevates Tampa Bay's chances of pulling out this victory, while honoring Rondé Barber's dominance over Philadelphia for many, many years.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. I know we saw on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it these days, Baker Mayfield walking in to the stadium wearing a Rondé Barber jersey. Of course, Rondé Barber being honored at halftime.
He knew the assignment.
Pro Football Hall of Famer. He really did. I think Baker has endeared himself very well to this fan base. And I mean, another way to do it is to not turn the ball over. I know Tom Brady didn't turn the ball over a ton, but the quarterback before him, who the Bucs may end up seeing next week, did turn the ball over a lot. So when you see the first 2 weeks Baker Mayfield go out there and not turn the ball over, really has been huge. But like you mentioned, with him being under pressure more than we kind of can remember, maybe kind of have revised this whole thing where he's only been sacked, I think, once this season. So it's, the offensive line's held up great. He has escaped a lot. And my biggest fear, I think, if you're the Bucs in this game, especially early on, with how good this Eagles front is if they just wreck the offensive line. If they're getting after Baker early and often, there's not going to be much the Bucs are going to be able to get going. And if it's a thing where, it's kind of what we saw early on in the first game. Dave Canales' offense couldn't get going and was less about the pressure and more just about guys getting on the same page and kind of figuring out and feeling out the game. But this is where I think Philadelphia has a chance to really, really hone in on Baker Mayfield and really wreck that offensive line. And it's going to be a little scary, I think, early on. If the Bucs can kind of weather the storm early on with the pass rush, and Dave Canales can maybe call some of those quick hitters that he was calling in the second half against Minnesota, we might get to see a little bit more of a game here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, considering the success that he's had from shotgun on third down with little motion, and giving him that space, that you see a little bit more of that shotgun early for those quick hitters that you were just talking about. I wouldn't surprise me in the least. And I think that it could help Baker get a little bit more comfortable, at least until they figure out how well is the offensive line holding up against this Eagles pass rush. I think the thing that's going to happen is the Eagles are effectively implementing the Brandon Staley philosophy, right? So Staley out in Los Angeles with the Chargers, since becoming the head coach, he's tried to create a defense that goes light in the box in terms of numbers, right? And dares the offense to run against him. His theory being it takes a lot of 4 to 5 yard runs to get down the field to score a touchdown. And I'm betting that at some point you're going to screw up or my defense is going to make enough of a stop that we hold you from doing so. The reality for Staley and the Chargers is that's not the case, right? They're allowing a lot of points. But the Eagles have the dudes up front with Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Brandon Graham and all of these other guys that they can actually run 6-man boxes, keep 5 guys in the secondary, and dare you to run, and they'll stop the run. And in doing so, it makes it much more difficult for quarterbacks to find passing lanes because you have extra guys out in the field clogging up passing lanes. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go shotgun, but I would hope that they try to run from shotgun and see if they can take advantage of those light boxes and maybe find some holes. But it'll be interesting to see if that bears out.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to talk about the run game a little bit because last week they ran the ball a lot better against the Bears and way better than week 1. Was that something that you saw as more of just an opponent thing, or was there something they were doing a little different last week? And I know Rachaad White had a good game. A couple good plays for Chase Edmonds before he went down with an injury. But Rachaad was the guy last week and did pretty well.
Yeah, I think Rachaad had a huge part of that. I think the tight ends blocked marginally better, which helped out. I think the offensive line is still growing in terms of their comfort level with each other. So I think it was a benefit of all those things. And I also think the Bears just have a worse front 7 than the Vikings do. Ivan Pace Jr. was an undrafted free agent. I think we saw him at the Senior Bowl, right?
I liked him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he turns out to be a starter for the Vikings. And he was crushing it at week 1 against Tampa Bay. Like, he was huge in the run defense for them. And Chicago just didn't really match what he had going on. So I don't see the Bucs having quite as much success in the run game. I hope that they can take advantage of Rachaad White getting outside with some screens and some design pass options to hopefully take advantage of the Eagles linebackers. But I'm not so hopeful that you're going to see, 18 carries for 95 yards or something like that out of Rachaad White.
Yeah. One more thing I want to get to before we actually move on to the defense is something that this Gary brings up here is that there was a report earlier today that James Bradberry will play in the slot. Of course, Vontae Maddox is on IR for the Eagles, their normal slot corner. I know you're skeptical, not of the report, of more so the truth behind the report of what the Eagles will actually do when the game starts. Is that am I right in reading what you said?
My skepticism, I think, is twofold. Number one, to let that information out just doesn't seem logical. Like, why would you let that slip? Why not make that a surprise at game time? The second thing is I dispute the logic behind it because let's get a few things out of the way here. So Chris Godwin is still technically the Bucs' top slot option, right? His percentage of his snaps that he's taking from the slot is reduced greatly from the Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich era. Back then, he was in the slot 2 out of every 3 snaps. Now that's more 2 out of every 5, right? Mm-hmm. But he's still the number 1 slot guy for the Tampa Bay. He's averaging about 15 reps from the slot per game, which is more than anybody else. But if you're going to take one of your best corners and put him in the slot to match up against Chris Godwin 15 times a game, when Godwin's probably going to have 60 snaps, that doesn't make a ton of sense for me. Like, you're going to leave Josh Jobe out on the outside to face off against Godwin more often or face off against Evans. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Bradbury, isn't in the slot very often. Those reports, a couple hours before, like, I don't know how much I believe in them.
Well, it's funny when you look at James Bradbury over the course of his career, doesn't play in the slot a ton anyway. So like he's an outside guy, and for them to kind of say, this is how we're gonna cover the loss of Vontae Maddox didn't seem to make a ton of sense. We'll see, what happens when this game kicks off here actually in under an hour. But real quick before we jump over into the defensive side of things, I want to talk a little bit about the Eric Gross Group, the real estate partners of Pewter Report. Eric Gross, of course, a big Bucs fan and a Pewter Report reader. All you have to do if you're looking to buy a house, talk to Eric. He is the guy to go to because, hey, I mean, it's not always easy, but he can help you make it easy. And who wants to go out there and not know what you're getting from your real estate agent? You will know that you are getting somebody dedicated to you and your needs, and you're going to be partnering with a Bucs fan. So call the Eric Gross Group 513-907-4271 or www.housesinfla.com. Of course, thank you to Eric Gross for being a Pewter Report reader, and we love being able to partner with him. Now, Josh, when the Bucs are on the defensive side of the ball, I think we've come into the season thinking this is going to be the strength of the team. It pretty much has been so far. They've held both teams. They've played to 17 points, but this Eagles offense is a different animal. It's going to be a difficult one for them. And to start with, you're going to have to look at Jalen Hurts and what he can do in structure, out of structure, and just, all around threat that he is, how they can stop him. They've played him a few times now. I think this might be his third or fourth game against the Bucs. But I mean, where do you see Jalen Hurts in this matchup?
The Bucs have had his number. I want to say they matched up twice 2 years ago. Once in the regular season and then once in the postseason in the divisional or the wild card matchup. I think this is a different Jalen Hurts though. Yeah. From a few different standpoints. Number one, his growth. Rarely have you seen a passer make significant positive strides in their development every single year since like their freshman year in college. And up through last year, Jalen Hurts has done that. And who he was I guess that was his sophomore year in the NFL in 2020, 21, something like that. To now, he's not the same guy. He's much more decisive. He's more accurate. He's taking shots downfield. He's comfortable within the offense. All of it made him a top 10 quarterback last year, right? And helped the Eagles get all the way to they're in the Super Bowl. They almost won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, the Eagles have Howie Roseman has done an amazing job of building a team for him. And I think the catalyst for all that was the trade for A.J. Brown, last draft day 2022. Yeah. And A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, those two, I mean, they're game breakers. You have two game-breaking wide receivers that you're going to have to try and contain if you're Tampa Bay. And Hurts has complete comfortability with them. And their skill sets match up so well with each other, or complement each other so well, that the Bucs are going to have to play a much better game against Hurts than they've ever had to play to this point in their matchups with him.
Yeah, and one thing I was curious about last week when, actually it was Scott that put out a Pewter Pulse video about how they played Justin Fields and then they were playing Jalen Hurts. Obviously not the same level of quarterbacks, but similar types. At least we thought. We thought we would see more design runs or more just mobility from Fields last week, and was wondering if they'd have Devin White maybe spy him or how they would deal with that. And we didn't really have to see, or we didn't get to see how the Bucs would handle that because we really didn't see. I think we saw him run 3 times. Going to be definitely a bit of a different challenge, different caliber of quarterback, and just overall better quarterback in Jalen Hurts. But I think where we've seen the Bucs have so much success is rushing the passer. We saw JTS, break out a little bit last week with a 2-sack game. I know you are a big JTS guy, Josh. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him and then what we saw from Shaq and this Bucs pass rush. They're not nearly as deep as the Eagles or as proven as the Eagles pass rush, but they've built themselves a pretty good group out there.
Yeah. Well, you got to trust the process, Bailey. That's what I've been doing with JTS, is trusting the process. The process says that he is beating offensive linemen at a rate that Bucs fans should be excited about given who he was when he was drafted. Basically, he ended last year in terms of pressures as a high-end number 2 edge rusher, which in the third year of his career, given the fact that he missed his last year of college due to COVID, and they had him all over the place his rookie year, that's really good. Now, there weren't the sacks because he had trouble getting quarterbacks to the ground. He would get there, he would get his hands on them, and they would just break away. That is one of the easiest things to fix in a guy's skill set. It's much easier to fix that than it is to teach a guy to actually start winning consistently against NFL offensive linemen. So I trusted the process, and thank goodness for my reputation. He's paying off this year for me. He's got, three sacks now? I think he got 1 against Minnesota, 2 against Chicago. So off to a great start. He's winning in a bunch of different ways. There was one rep against, Braxton Jones, where, the bend that he showed, I hadn't seen a play like that from him in his first 3 years. So he's learning his body. He's getting better. He's ascending, which is good because while Shaq has been solid to start the 2023 campaign in terms of consistent play-to-play winning, he's not where he was pre-injury. So you hope that JTS kind of takes that next step and can kind of transition into the number 1 as Shaq continues to come back from his Achilles injury, which I strained my Achilles a few days ago. It's not fun. I couldn't imagine going through a torn one like he did. So props to Shaq just for the rehab and everything that he's gone through. And then to cap it off the way he did with that pick 6 last week, just an incredible, story of perseverance for him. But you would hope that if Shaq can settle in as kind of a number 2 edge rusher, a consistent one, and JTS's continued ascension, that they still have a good enough edge room to win consistently. It's going to be interesting because they go up against 2 really, really good tackles from the Eagles this week, in Lane Johnson on the right side and Jordan Mailata on the left.
Yeah, definitely going to be a matchup we dive into a little further. Before we get to those, kind of want to talk a little bit about this guy. Vita Vea has been just an absolute wrecker, I think, the first 2 weeks. And we've seen him develop so much more over the past few years. Obviously, he was a captain for the first time last year. I think whenever they do come up with their captains this year or name their captains this year, I think he might be in that mix again. I think he's just been an absolute force, both in the run game and I think also as a pass rusher. He just he was actually, we talked to him in the locker room last week after the game, and he was saying he felt like he missed one or he left a couple out there against the Vikings in week 1. So he was happy to get a couple last week. He got a 1.5 was what he was credited with. And he was annoyed or frustrated to find out that they credited him with a half instead of 2. But
I don't understand the half sack thing. It makes no sense to me.
I saw some discourse about that on X lately, talking about why half sacks are even a thing. Why it's not just a full sack. And I agree with it. Yeah, it's just kind of funny because someone asked him, they're like, a sack and a half today. And he was like, a sack and a half? It's like, damn, I thought I had 2. And everyone was just kind of.
You did, Vita. You did.
He did. But I think he's been absolutely fantastic so far for the Bucs this year. And we'll dive into him a little bit more in the matchups once we get there. But against the interior of that really good Eagles offensive line, he'll be pretty matched up with Jason Kelce a lot of the time. Think that Vita will have a bit of a weight advantage there, wouldn't you?
Just a lot. I think Kelce plays at 289 or something like that. He's small, but it's never stopped him from being extremely effective. I'm trying to find it now. Kelce is listed by Pro Football Focus at 295, and I guarantee you he doesn't play that heavy. Meanwhile, Vita, I think, is generously listed at 350 and probably plays a good 15 pounds over that, no problems, right? Yeah. And he's in the best. I hate to be the guy who goes with this narrative. He's in the best shape of his life. Some of the plays. Week 1 against Minnesota, he chased down a screen 30 yards downfield, just chased him down, right? And then last week, I think he had one of his highest snap counts in an individual game of his career. Just the conditioning is there for him. But to your point, he's going to have to win against Kelce. He's going to have to use that power and that size and move Kelce around. But the thing with Kelce is, are you a fan of MTV's The Challenge?
Not really. Can't say I am.
Okay, all right. There's a guy who's famous on there. He from years back. His name's Derek. He's one of the smallest dudes who's ever competed. And they would have these competitions where you have to like wrestle a pole out of the other guy's hands, right? And he would go up against these guys who are like 6'1", 205, right? And Derek's sitting there at like 5'7", $130. And he'd win almost every single time. And the reason is, and this is what makes Jason Kelce so good, he just got lower than everybody else. You couldn't wrestle anything out of him because he's like laying on top of the thing and he won't let you get underneath him. And Kelce is a leverage master. And so Vita's going to have to find a way to get around that leverage and to move Kelce a little bit and create some disruption up the middle and make Hurts uncomfortable. Yeah,
and he's been doing it for a very long time and winning for a very long time. So yeah, there is the size difference there, but it's rarely mattered, I think, with Jason Kelce. I mean, one of the best centers in the game for a long while now. Really, really impressive. And so yeah, it's going to be interesting with this matchup in the trenches because there's a lot of skill talent everywhere. I think on both sides of the ball, but this game has the potential to be, well, I think most games have the potential to be won and lost in the trenches, but this thing might not even be close if the Bucs can't handle the trench play, which I think, I don't know. I think there's been some talk. I think they can. There's a lot been said about the Eagles front seven, or at least their front four, and how deep it is. And of course their offensive line being one of the best, but it will be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But before we get into our official matchups, let's talk Underdog Fantasy. Think you know football, prove it. You go to Underdog Fantasy, jump on some of those hires and lowers before this game starts, and you can use the promo code Pewter, Pewter, for a bonus. And it's a lot of fun. I won some money on Underdog last week during the Bucs-Bears game. Can't remember the exact play that I had, but I think I had the over on Justin Fields passing yards. Something with Baker Mayfield, I think the over on his passing yards, Mike Evans receptions, I believe, and Kate Otten receptions, if I'm not mistaken. So go out there and win yourself some money. Use that promo code PEWTER, Pewter, and we would love to hear about you guys getting some wins out there. Actually, let's.
I had me a day on Underdog yesterday.
Did you?
I crushed it on Underdog yesterday. I did 3 plays, and I think I won like $175.
Okay.
I had.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, I'll give out like my big one that I got. Where'd it go? There it is. So I did 3 picks, and what's cool about Underdog is every so often they give you like these modified ones. Like if you take this one guy, we're gonna juice the payout if you win. So I had a modified one in the Vikings Chargers game, where I took Kirk Cousins higher than 14.5 passing first downs. That seemed like a good play considering the Chargers can't stop anybody from throwing the ball. Justin Herbert higher than 2.5 passing touchdowns, and Keenan Allen with higher than 3.5 first downs. That went off it was a $10 play, and I won $105 on that one. So
we love to hear it. Go out, win yourself some money, Pewter people. Go out there, Underdog Fantasy. Let's hear a word from Underdog Fantasy before we move on here. Now, I'm not sure we heard a word from Underdog Fantasy, but you could read some words from Underdog Fantasy there. I was waiting to hear them. I lied to myself there. But yeah, go on to Underdog Fantasy, win yourself some money. Use the promo code Pewter, PEWTER. And yeah, we'd love to hear about some of your wins, Pewter people, because always a good thing to win some free money. It's going to be great. Go out there, Underdog Fantasy. Now, Josh, let's get into our matchups. Key matchups for this game, starting with the Bucs offense against the Eagles defense. One that I think you have your eye on in particular, Trey Palmer, the rookie wide receiver out of Nebraska, up against a familiar foe or familiar friend, I guess you could say, and former Buc Justin Evans.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's just put this out there. I mean, Justin Evans battling back from some significant injuries that could have derailed his entire career a few years ago, and getting back to being a starting NFL player is fantastic. I mean, he had a really good start to his career with Tampa Bay, and it's a feel-good story. With that said, he is the safety. He was more of a strong safety with Tampa Bay, and I think that's kind of where his talents best lie. But the Eagles have been using him as a deep safety more than any of their other three safeties that they kind of rotate in. So if the Bucs can find some opportunities when they're in 11 personnel with Trey Palmer on the field and you've got Justin Evans as a single high safety, or even if he's just shaded to Palmer's side, I would hope that the Bucs are going to, and an offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, is going to try and take advantage and get Palmer deep and see if they can't get an explosive play, which is something that they're going to have to rely on in order to beat the Eagles. If you just go punch for punch with the Eagles and you have about the same number of explosives as they do throughout the game, chances are the Bucs aren't winning. So Palmer is kind of he's got the game breaker speed. Evans isn't the best deep safety in the world, so hopefully the Bucs can take advantage of that. If they get the shots, I like Palmer in that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it has been good to really good to see Justin Evans make his way back from those injuries, because it was a really not frustrating. Yeah, it was frustrating, I guess you could say, but kind of a disappointing story for him, because it was, he played pretty well when he was out on the field, and then he was just dealing with injury after injury, and I believe something with his foot, and could not get back out there, but eventually was able to get back out there and has found himself a home in Philadelphia on a really good defense. But yeah, if they can get Trey Palmer out there and kind of take advantage of that game-breaking speed, I do like Palmer in this matchup. We haven't seen him. He did catch a touchdown in week 1. Haven't seen them really go deep or look for him in the first couple weeks. Whether that's something that the game calls for or didn't call for, or it was something that really wasn't there, we don't really know, but I think it's something that could be there for the Bucs in this matchup. Especially, it's tough when the Eagles play their game. It's tough to beat them, but if you can get some of those explosives on them, kind of knock them on their heels a bit, things might change a little bit. Things might swing in your favor. So, yeah, would love to see Trey Palmer with a bigger game this week in week 3. The other guy I would like to see have a big game is Luke Gedeke. Luke Gedeke matching up with a variety of those pass rushers, but Hassan Reddick is the one we've got here. I think a lot of it goes back to last year, but there's been some discourse about Luke Gedeke and some disappointment with him. I think he's been pretty solid through the first couple games of the season, outside of a few penalty issues, but I think he's held up pretty well at tougher tests this week, I think, with Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, he's probably been the Bucs' second best and second most consistent offensive lineman through the first 2 games, right? So Wirfs is on a whole different plane of existence from the rest of the offensive line, but I would actually say Gedeke has probably been the second best, and Cody Mock is right next to him, probably a close third. But this is going to be an interesting matchup, because when you talk about it just from like a pass rushing versus pass blocking, Luke Gedeke, the reason why he was moved off of tackle when he came out of college was because he has shorter arms. He wasn't going to be able to hold up well against long levered edge rushers. Well, Hassan Reddick is not a long levered pass rusher. He's 6'1", and he doesn't have the arm length that some of the other guys do. He wins with speed, and I think he could pose some problems for Gedeke in that regard. And Reddick is not afraid to go outside, inside. So Gedeke's going to have to be very consistent with his footwork. Where I think that Gedeke may be able to impose something on him is while the Eagles aren't allowing a ton of success running the ball, opposing offenses this year have had some success running to the right tackle and running off tackle to the right side. So my hope is that Canales and the Bucs offense take advantage of that. Reddick is a very undersized, very light edge rusher, and Gedeke's got a ton of size on him. And I would hope that the Bucs decide to run their mid-zone offense to the right side and let Gedeke and let Cody Mock kind of impose their will on Reddick and make it a long day for him. And that may be how they get their run game jump-started. So in this matchup, I still give the edge to Reddick, but I think it may be closer than some think. And, keep in mind, Gedeke had a good game against Danielle Hunter a couple weeks ago. And you hope that continues against the Eagles and Reddick.
Yeah, I would still lean and give the edge to Reddick, but I like what you say there about how they can potentially swing that matchup in Gedeke and the Bucs' favor because, he has the size on him, and he can, if they can start running the ball to that side, maybe getting some of those chunk runs out there, it'll be an easier way to get the offense going and kind of get off to a quicker start, as we talked about earlier. One thing that I don't think we're going to see a ton of is the Bucs running the ball up the middle. The next matchup we've got here is center Robert Hainsey, and we'll talk a little about Cody Mauch too. But against the Eagles, 3 really good defensive tackles. I mean, they're deep there at that position. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and of course the veteran Fletcher Cox. This one, as you kind of referenced earlier, Hainsey has to step up in this one and has to play a much better game because he has been. I think you wrote about it this week on PewterReport.com. It was he's been the weak link of this Bucs offensive line, has he not?
He has been. He just has not looked comfortable out there. I would say he's regressed from last year and almost in every facet of the game. Now, Hainsey's never going to be the biggest guy. We talked about Jason Kelsey on the other side of the ball with the Eagles. Hainsey is a lighter center. So he's got to win with movement and with just being completely secure. Hold on a second. Sorry. My brother was calling me and just texted me. I'm going to break some really cool news. He applied for a job that he really, really wanted, and he just let me know that he got the job. So
awesome.
Let's go there. Sorry to divert from this.
You're good.
Back to Robert Hainsey. So he hasn't looked comfortable in the Bucs mid-zone scheme. He's often the cause for a play to kind of get blown up because he's not climbing to the right linebacker or not getting to his spot fast enough, or his reach block doesn't get there in time. And then in pass protection, I mean, there have been some where he just olays a guy, right? And he's giving pressure right up the middle in Baker's face, and he's losing to bigger and stronger defensive tackles. And the Eagles have some bigger and stronger defensive tackles. Jordan Davis is a brick house. Jalen Carter, it shouldn't be allowed to move like he does for his size. And Fletcher Cox has been doing it for years, and he's still physically gifted, but he had on top of that, just he wins with the mental game. It could be a long day for Hainsey, and it will be a test. I like how you kind of grouped him in there for the rookie mock, because he has not faced a test like this potentially in his entire career, because at North Dakota State, he wasn't going up against dudes. These are some dudes.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because he's dealing with a bit of a back injury that kind of dates back a couple weeks, and he is active and good to go tonight. But it'll be interesting to see with Hainsey, because it's a thing where when the Jensen news came out, I kind of was like, it was obviously a huge blow, but it was one of those things where I was like, I wasn't sure what to really expect from Jensen this year after that injury, after not having surgery, and coming back out quickly for that playoff game. And we never really got to even see whether or not he was back to being the Ryan Jensen that he used to be. And I guess, we didn't see that because, he never got back to being cleared and good to go. But I thought Hainsey played pretty admirably last year, given the situation that he was in. But this year has not been his year so far. But hey, it's still early. He's got a shot, but tonight may be a tough one. And they can't keep asking Baker Mayfield to duck out of sacks the way he has been. I mean, it's been fun to watch, but I think it's also been scary to watch for Bucs fans because he can't do that all season long. It's not a sustainable model of how to run the offense. But one sustainable model of how to run the offense involves just throwing the ball to Mike Evans. Mike Evans, a huge day last week against the Bears. The next matchup here, Mike Evans versus Darius Slay. Been a top corner in the league for a while now, and this is probably one of the marquee matchups of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Slay is close to one of the best lockdown corners in the NFL. I think he doesn't get the what's the word I'm looking for, like the attention that he deserves. Yeah. But yeah, dating back, and this is his 11th season in the league, and he just every year he's Mr. Consistent, always grades out as one of the top corners for a position group that doesn't typically have a lot of consistency year to year. So Slay, I don't foresee Evans necessarily like going off like he did against Chicago, but he still has the size advantage. And I think that is one where I'm willing to give the edge to Evans because I think that the Bucs will design some plays that'll get him the ball and allow him to physically try and impose himself on Slay. It's going to be interesting because Evans and Bradbury have had some epic matchups over the years. But if the Eagles truly do move Bradbury to the slot, it'll be Slay who's matched up on Evans more often than not.
Yeah, it takes you back to earlier in Evans' career when he was having those heated matchups with James Bradbury, kind of before he moved on to the feud with Marshawn Lattimore. I think it was originally Bradbury who he would go at it with. But yeah, I think Slay is a guy who I want to say Evans has had some decent success against him in the past, and I think there's a chance there for him to do so again. But I don't think it's one like you said. I don't think it's one where he's going to go out there and post 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Although I think a lot of Bucs fans would love to see that. Let's move into our last offensive matchup real quick here before we get into the defensive side of the ball. But it's the run game again. Rashad White against linebacker Zach Cunningham. Rashad, a much better game last week. I think he was hitting the hole harder and he was finding some more space to run. And whether or not he can do that in this game might be one of the things that decides whether the Bucs can hang around in this one or not.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I think that this could be a matchup where the Bucs are able to exploit Cunningham in coverage and trying to get White out of the backfield. And it'll be interesting to see how often they try to do that, or whether they want to keep him in to try and give a 6-man protection for Mayfield to give him a little extra time against the Eagles front. But if they can slip him out on some angle routes or into the flats and get him one-on-one against Cunningham, that's an advantage for the Bucs. I truly believe that, and White can make him miss and pick up some yak and create some plays. In the run game, Cunningham's solid. And he knows his gaps. He can get off some blocks. He's a good linebacker in that regard. And I think that he'll have some success against White in that regard. But if the Bucs can try to get White lined up against Cunningham in space, I think that's an advantage to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and it's actually been kind of interesting because I remember last year when I was writing up the record watches down the stretch of the season, it was a lot about Rashad White chasing some of the Bucs rookie records for a running back in terms of receptions, and we haven't seen him as involved in the passing game so far this year. So it'd be interesting to see if that's something that the Bucs kind of move toward a little bit. Jump into the defensive matchups to watch, of course, presented by Underdog Fantasy once again. When the Bucs defense versus the Eagles offense. Another one. We'll start with the pass rushers, the edge rushers out there for the Bucs against 2 really good offensive tackles in Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson for the Eagles. Kind of a big showdown in this one.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the success of JTS earlier in this podcast, and talked a little bit about Shaq's recovery from his Achilles and how he's looked through the first 2 games of the season. With that said, Lane Johnson is, now that Tristan Wirfs has moved over to the left side, Lane Johnson is undisputably the best right tackle in football. And Jordan Mailata is probably comfortably like a top 10 left tackle in football. So as good as the Bucs are trying to build their pass rush and they have a solid group of edge rushers, I've got to give that edge to the Eagles with Mailata and Johnson. I mean, those guys they're bookends.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to dispute that at all. I think this is, I think probably the best tackle duo in the league. I'd say. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that really rivals those two. I know that. If there is, it's at least they're in the top half of the top part.
It's eluding me. I mean, San Francisco's got one good guy on the left side, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Same with Giants. I think you're right. Yeah,
this is a crazy duo that they have.
Tandem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd probably give the edge to the Eagles tackles, Mailata and Lane Johnson. Well, this one, Devin White against Jalen Hurts. Devin White, of course, not breaking out. We know what Devin White's capable of, but starting the season off with a big game in Minnesota. A little quieter last week, though. He just barely missed a forced fumble, sack fumble on Justin Fields. This one will be interesting to see how White's speed obviously can match Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is a guy that is tough to stop. And I just saw they flashed up a graphic up on the pregame here on Monday Night Football that Jalen Hurts is 19-1 in his last 20 regular season starts. So tough guy to beat, and Devin White's going to have his hands full today.
Yeah, so he's due. He's due for a loss, right?
I think that's
thinking, exactly what they say in baseball. If something has consistently happened, then it's bound to not happen. Yeah, I mean, I think this comes down to Todd Bowles can't help himself. He blitzes 40% of the time. He would be known as a madman, except Minnesota. Brian Flores has decided to take the Todd Bowles mentality and say, hold my beer. Bowles blitzed Justin Herbert like 83% of his dropbacks yesterday. It was crazy. 40% is still very high, and you have to imagine that Devin White is going to be a part of some of those blitzes. And as such, he's going to have to get home on a few of them, because we've already started to talk about how just sending 4 guys is probably not going to do it for the Bucs pass rush. They're going to have to create some pressure through simulated pressures and through just straight out blitzing. And that's where Devin White excels. So you hope that he's going to be able to get home on a couple of those plays, disrupt a few passes, create some poor decisions and poor passes himself from Hurts. And if he's able to do that, then again, I think the Bucs defense is in the driver's seat at that point. So trying to think, he's averaging, give me 1 second. I had it for a second. It went away. He's averaging 8 pass rush snaps per game. That is Devin White. I would expect that to be at 10 or more tonight. And you would hope that that's going to generate 4 to 6 pressures and at least 1 to 2 sacks or negative plays for the Eagles offense. So I'll give the advantage. I'm going to give it to White. I think he has a game tonight. I think they're really their only big island game, and I think he comes up big.
Yeah, it would be lovely to see that. I think obviously the thing with Devin White is he's capable of those splash plays and making big time plays, but it's also all about him playing within himself and not over pursuing and not making those mistakes. That some of those mistakes he was making at times last year. I don't think he made a ton last week. I know PFF didn't like the game that he had, but I think he's been a lot more consistent, a lot more solid the first 2 weeks of this season, and will have to be so again tonight. Last 3 matchups here. Let's go probably about a minute each on them before we get to our Pewter predictions. Vita Vea and Jason Kelsey. We talked about this one a little bit earlier. Who are you giving this official edge to?
Yeah, we already went through the matchup itself. So I'll say it's a push. The two of them, the last 2 times they've met, they basically both graded out average. So each one kind of getting some licks in. So I'll say a push.
Yeah, Josh, if we weren't on this live stream for Pewter Game Day, or if we are later on in this show, if I'm silent and just staring at the screen, I'm probably watching that matchup. Just because it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. They're 2 of the best at their positions. It'll be a fun one. I will agree. I think it's a push there. Let's get on Ryan Neal versus Dallas Goedert. A tough couple weeks, I think, for Ryan Neal to start off his Tampa Bay tenure. Hasn't been exactly, and we talked about him a lot this offseason, talked to him a lot. One of the guys that I really grew to like a lot in that locker room. Hoping to see him break out a little bit more and be the guy that he was last year with Seattle. What do you see with this matchup?
Yeah, I thought Neal did a lot better last week than he did week 1. Week 1 was abhorrent. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce that correctly. It just wasn't good, is what I'm trying to say. Dallas Goedert is one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and I'm going to give it his longer track record of success over Neal's stellar 2022 season. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give the edge to Goedert. I think if they get matched up one-on-one a couple different times, I could see Goedert grabbing a couple passes and making some first downs.
Yeah, I lean Goedert as well. I hope Ryan Neal continues to look better than he did in week 1. I think he is definitely capable of having a big game, making some splash plays. I know we saw it a lot during training camp. Todd Bowles loved to blitz him in particular. So we'll see if he is employed in that direction as well again tonight. And the final one here, I think you have a bonus one as well, but we'll get to the final one on the graphic. Jamel Dean versus A.J. Brown, another one we talked about earlier, another one where Jamel Dean is going to have to step up in this game.
Yeah, I think in that one, A.J. Brown's got the edge. Just the way Dean's played so far to begin this season, I'm not hopeful that that's going to turn around this week. I think, and especially, I think it's a concert of 2 things. It's Dean not playing well, and it's the fact that A.J. Brown really called some attention to the fact that he wants Hurts to give him some love, and I expect a game plan that heavily features Brown to begin with to show him the requisite love that he is requesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to see a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna call it a spat last week, but a little bit of some unease, some disagreement there where the ball was going last week. Devontae Smith had a big game. Yeah, some friction. And I know, of course, they downplayed it all week long and after that game, but we'll see. We'll see how early and often they get him involved. I would give the edge to A.J. Brown myself. Yeah, he's just one of the league's very best, and Jamel Dean has been struggling so far to start this season. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Jamel Dean comes out and has one of his better games. But without Carlton Davis, it will be very interesting to see how these Eagles receivers match up with the Bucs secondary without their top guy. But Josh, let's get into the Pewter predictions that we had for this week's game, Monday Night Football, Bucs and Eagles.
Quick.
Yes. Oh, your bonus. Yeah, your bonus defense.
Real quick. I've got a bonus one. All right.
Okay.
So the Eagles, they don't really have a slot receiver. Dallas Goedert spends most of his time more time in the slot than anybody else. Quez Watkins was their number 2 guy. He's inactive for this game. But I'm going to start this off by talking about, with this being the Bucs honoring Rondé Barber. Rondé Barber in his career played 241 games and had 47 interceptions, which means he averaged 1 interception for every 5 games that he played. The Bucs currently have a nickelback, the position that Rondé Barber revolutionized, who has a slightly better rate of games per interception, which is Christian Izien is averaging 1 interception per game. So I'm going to say Izien versus anybody in the slot. Nobody can beat that rate of interceptions per game. I'm giving that bonus one to Chris Izien just because I really wanted to talk about how he's averaging 1 interception per game. There we go.
Do you think he maintains that average?
You know what? For funsies, I'm going to say yes.
I had it in the record watch this week. He'd be the first undrafted free agent to ever do that, and I think like the 5th player overall to have 3 straight games with an interception. So
let's go.
Yeah, would be interesting to see. But like I said, let's get into our Pewter predictions. I'm gonna give you a chance here to change yours. Do you have a change here that you want to go with, Josh?
I'm the type of guy, like, if I'm putting it out there, I'm not going to rescind it. Like, I'm not that dude. I'm not hedging. I'm not going to try and come back on Twitter tomorrow and say, well, if you look here, I actually said the Bucs were going to win. Like, I put it out there in ink or whatever the digital version of ink is. I said the Bucs would lose 27-20. Now, I will say I have money on the Bucs to win. I have 2 separate bets. One with underdog with my bookie for them to cover, and then I've got another one for them to win. So my money really is on the Bucs to win. But technically speaking, as an analyst, I project them to lose 27-20.
Yeah, so we got Scott here with the Bucs losing 24-17. I said in our Pewter predictions 28-17. Josh, you said 27-20. Adam said 28-20 Eagles, and then Matt 20-14 Eagles as well. So a clean sweep in our predictions. And I know if you're a college football fan, you watch College Game Day, it seems like anytime there is a clean sweep, there's always an upset, and then the graphic goes out there that everyone picked the opposite team. So I know we've got some Bucs fans in the chat hoping that we are all wrong. So we will see how that goes. And, of course, we will be sticking around. We have Pewter Game Day coming up here in just a minute, live reactions of this Bucs-Eagles Monday Night Football game. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, after the game, we will have our Pewter postgame show shortly after we hear from Todd Bowles and likely Baker Mayfield after the game. So right around 7:15 here in a couple seconds, we will have kickoff of this game. Stick with us for Pewter Game Day right around the corner. Here we go. And welcome, everyone, to the Pewter Game Day Show, live in-game analysis of this Bucs-Eagles Monday Night Football game. Shout out to everyone in the chat already joining us for the pregame show. Really loving the some banter going on in the chat and a lot of football talk. Good to have everyone tuning in for this game. I am Bailey Adams and joined by Josh Capo. my colleague and friend from PewterReport.com, Adam Slavon, Scott Reynolds, and Matt Matera are at the stadium. This game is about to kick off, and we've got this game getting ready to kick off. Josh, what we do need to do is sync up our feeds as this game gets going.
I do not have. I'm in a hotel in Raleigh, North Carolina, so I don't have pause. I am fully live.
Okay.
I've got Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker, is literally just kicked off.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting because if you actually give me a second, I'm streaming right now, but I can switch over to the live feed from Spectrum. So if you give me one minute,
I'll take the play-by-play while you're doing that. And worst case scenario, we'll just flip roles, and
Cool.
I can do play-by-play, and you can just run color for us. So
let me grab the other remote.
Bucs come out in 12 personnel. They've got Coke Keeft and Kate Otten on the field, so that's going to make me smile. Keeft is in the backfield with Rashad White. Baker's under center. Baker takes the snap. It's a handoff to Rashad White. Gets a couple of yards and runs right into Zach Cunningham. Looks like it's probably about a 2, maybe 3-yard gain. So Eagles got easy penetration, but I think that was by design.
All right, I think we might be synced up, but you see in the offensive line coming up to the line?
I am. Yep, second
All
and
right,
8.
cool. This will make it easy then. We got 2nd and 8 at the 27-yard line, and it looks like another handoff to Rashad White. He gets up the middle, and they'll set up a 3rd and short, 3rd and manageable, back-to-back runs for the Bucs to start this one as they show Raymond James Stadium. Beautiful shot of the sky right now. It's weird. It's a 7:15 kickoff for a Monday night game. Used to the 8:15 ones. Of course, they've been going with these double headers the first couple weeks. And what are your initial impressions of those? Because it's been a little strange, hard to follow. But I guess you do get the option if one game sucks, you can flip to the other one.
That's true. And at the same time, as somebody analyzing, we got the early game. I like that. It's not going to end at midnight.
Baker takes the snap, 3rd and 3, fires to Chris Godwin for a first down up around the 40-yard line, 35-yard line.
Let's say 30, 34.
30, 35, 34. As the Bucs move the chains to get this going.
Yep. So this seems to be a strategy that the Bucs are going. This is 39. They are going for. Underdog did a really great profile with Colt McCoy this past week on Baker Mayfield in his first 2 weeks and how he's been basically the best quarterback in the NFL on 3rd down. And they just seem to want to get into 3rd and manageable, and they trust Mayfield to convert the first down.
I mean, it's hard not to trust him right now. It's been he's been really good under pressure, really good on 3rd downs. We'll see. He throws the ball deep, and he's looking for Tompkins just misses him. Looking at deep shot there with Devin Tompkins down the field, so we'll see 2nd and 10. A deep shot, Josh, but not to Trey Palmer yet.
Nope, that is true. Although Tompkins has got the speed as well. So deep crosser off of play action. Tompkins was open. Baker just overthrew him just a little bit. You got to remember Tompkins is, I want to say, 3'8", and that's on stilts.
Oh no! Josh, you're going to get us pulled from YouTube for height shaming Devin Tompkins. All right, we got 2nd and 10. Baker under center, Rashad White in the backfield. He tosses to Rashad White. He gets through the line initially and gets about 2 yards. So a less manageable 3rd down here for the Bucs. 3rd and 8, I want to say, coming up as they look through the Eagles defense, the starting defense. Some of these guys we talked about. Justin Evans, a former Buc, in the back end of that defense.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is the Eagles this year, they trust their front defensive line so much that they've been lining up in a lot of 3-3-5s. On 1st and 2nd down, which you don't see in the NFL these days.
So we got Baker in shotgun, take the snap, and he's looking pretty good. Oh, Evans right off his hands and almost an interception.
Yeah.
Incomplete. That was chaotic. I mean, Evans probably should have had that one, and then Slay should have had that one on the tip.
Yeah, well, I mean, so for all the good things that Baker has done these first 2 weeks, he's still not the most accurate. That ball took every bit of Evans's length to even get his hands on it, and he still wasn't able to corral it because Baker just overthrew him. And if you go back to that Minnesota game, there were 3 or 4 passes where same thing. Although Evans was able to bring those down, they were a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. So it's one thing to keep an eye on. Baker's never been the most accurate in terms of like putting the ball in the exact spot that a receiver would want it or that the route dictates. So, yeah. And I just talked through like the best player on the Bucs getting his play in.
Yeah, a couple of misses there from Baker Mayfield on the first drive, as Ken says, settle down, Baker. Overthrown twice. Yeah, I mean, those 2 plays were there. So tough to see him not hit those, but I don't know, maybe if you want to look on the bright side, which I know, Josh, you love to do, the plays were there. So if he hits those, you're seeing some of those open for the Bucs early on. But yeah, that one to Evans, just a bit high, and he couldn't quite bring it in. Actually went off his hands, and then his helmet nearly intercepted. But then Jake Camarda unloads the punt, and looks like the Eagles start around the 25-yard line. We got a TV timeout.
Yeah. So kind of assessing the first drive overall, the big positive, since you said I like to look at the positive side of things, the Bucs pass protection held up, right? Baker had time to launch the deep shot to Tompkins. He had time to launch the intermediate to deep shot to Evans. So it was a quick out to Godwin, but he had the time to do that. So that's good, right? And it looked like Canales was scheming up 6-man protections for him to give him that time. So you hope that they can build off of that. If that continues, you hope Mayfield settles down. He makes more accurate passes. Maybe this Bucs offense really starts getting to work. I'll balance that against a lot of runs for 2 yards, right?
Yeah.
And putting them into third and mid or third and medium, while Baker has been very successful in the first 2 weeks, it's not usually a sustainable plan of attack.
Well, if you remember, I know you remember last year we talked a lot about, what can the Bucs do to be better on third downs? Like, how about you just don't get to third down in the first place? It seemed like something that Byron Leftwich and that regime was maybe allergic to. It was like, we got to be better on third downs. No, just be better on first and second down.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about being better on third down.
There's no need. So there's no requirement that you have to get to third down. Yeah. I know this because I watch the Chiefs play football from time to time.
No one, you like after the game, you're like, we were like 8 of 19 on third down. It's like, well, don't go to third down 19
times.
Yeah, like that's not ideal. So,
oh my goodness.
They're showing it again. 19-1 in his last 20 regular season starts is Jalen Hurts, and
we'll see that 9 more times this game.
We'll see if it does regress to the mean a little bit here. The Eagles are in their all whites with the green helmets. The Bucs in their pewter helmets, red jerseys and white pants. The red jerseys. Temperature says 90 degrees. Of course, it is 7:23 as we're talking.
Yeah.
We've got Jalen Hurts in the gun here, and he hands off to DeAndre Swift, and he's going to cut through and get near the first down marker. Looks like to the 33 or so yard line. It'll be a second and short. Not great to see that on the first.
Also, really nice to see that the Eagles decided they're going to feature DeAndre Swift, who is on my fantasy bench, because I had no clue who they were going to go with.
If we're talking fantasy, I had Raheem Mostert, which was great news, right? I was also playing someone who had Tua and Tyreek Hill, so almost canceled each other out, and the game is a lot closer than it should be. But Stan Glassman says they get 9 on runs, we get 1 or 2. Hurts finds it is A.J. Brown. He's going to get down the sideline and across midfield. It looks like a big gain and into Bucs territory. The Zion McCollum looks like who they're showing here. I need to see that play again. I actually missed it. Yeah, it's Zion McCollum on A.J. Brown, and he just gets right over the middle and finds the sideline, and Zion could ever really track him down. It's Antoine Winfield who ends up knocking him out of bounds after that one.
Yeah. So nice little stat there that ABC put up. The Bucs are like tied for third most plays of 20 yards or more allowed through the first 2 weeks.
There's Hurts back to pass again. He's got plenty of time over the middle to A.J. Brown again. And A.J. Brown is just shy of the 20-yard line. And like you said, Josh, they featured him early. And I think we're not going to see that friction on the sideline. We'll see if Devontae Smith starts to get a little annoyed. See if they can't keep both of them happy at the same time. But
yeah, well, the Eagles feast against soft zones, and the Bucs love to play spot drop zone. So if the pass rush isn't going to get there, it's going to be a long night for the Bucs defense. There's Jamel Dean showing that he's still good as a tackler and at the edge. If he's decided he doesn't want to cover people anymore.
Yeah, so a short gain there to Devontae Smith for 1 yard. It's going to be up 2nd and 9, just outside the red zone. See if the Bucs can buckle down here and at least force a field goal try.
How about Mike Green making the starting lineup from an undrafted free agent, second year, I think, in the league, something like that. Yeah. And keeping Greg Gaines, the Bucs free agent acquisition, on the bench.
Well, it's weird. It's weird because they showed that now, and I don't know if that was the starting group because I just saw Gaines. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was the starting group. Yeah, he was out there with Vita and
there's
Gaines.
A pass to DeAndre Swift. He's going to get near the first down marker. Might be a 3rd and short.
Oh, here comes. You think they're going to go for the tush push?
Oh boy, I don't know. I would probably. What is it? Give me. Is it 3rd and 1? If it's third, it's third and 2.
3rd and 2. All right, no.
3rd and 2. They can do. They can still do it. I mean, no, they got a shotgun, and it's Jalen Hurts curving to the right and broken up by Zion McCollum in the end zone. It's 4th and 2 now, and we'll see what the Eagles do. But a huge play by Zion McCollum to break that one up, and Hurts is running off the field. A great play by Zion to keep them out of the end zone. They'll now have to settle for a field goal try.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about McCollum in the pregame, right? In terms of he was going to have to be good against these 2 wide receivers. And, I mean, he was on his man there.
I'm seeing the replay. I think it just hit him in the back of the helmet. But it was tight coverage. Oh, they are going for it. They come back out in 4th and 2, and Hurts is in shotgun. Gets a guy in motion.
All right.
He doesn't get it. Does not get it. They come up short. They run 4th and 2 out of the gun, and it looks like Ryan Neal with the stop. Ryan Neal and Antoine Winfield Jr. were both in there. It's a tackle for loss, and the Eagles opt to go for it on 4th and 2 and do not get it. The Bucs hold them out of the end zone, and the Bucs will now take over. Wow. Yeah.
Looks like I think that was Shaq Barrett who came off the edge. Hurts on a kind of a quarterback option there. He had to read Shaq. Shaq decided not to crash down, so he gave the handoff off, and the Bucs had everybody else clogging up the middle. Great play, and one of those, we all took the Bucs to lose, but these are the plays that can really swing the momentum and get people believing. Right, your backup cornerback making a touchdown saving header. I don't know, soccer. You know soccer better than I am.
No, that's huge.
Followed by a 4th and short where the Eagles easily could have had 3 points to take the lead. Nope. Bucs stop them, get the ball back, and now they've got some momentum.
We've got a shot at Byron Leftwich in the chat here. Al Bundy says, LOL, 4th and 2, and they go shotgun. Sounds like a Leftwich type of play. I will say in Leftwich's defense, I don't think he would have had the chance to run shotgun on 4th and 2 because Bulls would have kicked the field goal there, at least last year. I don't know. We've seen a little bit of a different Todd Bowles this year, but I don't think Leftwich would have gotten the chance to make that mistake of going shotgun on 4th and 2.
I definitely agree. Yeah, that would have been a field goal attempt for the Bucs. That would be this year too. Like, let's not make Todd Bowles out to be something he's not.
Well, we're in a commercial break. Let's talk Celsius a little bit, Josh. Celsius, of course, the presenting sponsor of the Pewter GameDay Show and the Pewter Report podcast. Just a favorite of PewterReport.com and our staff because of all the flavors. Look at all these flavors. You got raspberry acai, green tea, one of the uncarbonated ones, non-carbonated. They've got sparkling wild berry. They've got the peach mango green tea, the peach vibe, tropical vibe. Of course, the Arctic vibe, Oasis vibe is one of the newer ones. And then the new sparkling cosmic vibe, as well as lemon lime. Lemon lime is one of my favorites out there, Josh. I do love lemon lime.
It's top 5 for me.
Yeah. For a while there, it was my number 1, and then I think I overexposed myself to it. Maybe a little bit too much, but it's definitely still in the top 5, still in the rotation because it kind of reminds me of Sprite a little bit. Tastes like that good lemon lime flavor. Celsius you can find, of course, at your local grocery stores, your local convenience stores, and your local bodegas. Or, of course, you can go on to Amazon.com, order them some of those variety packs up there. You can do the subscribe and save to save some money. Whether it's a variety pack, whether it's all one flavor, just go out there and get yourself some Celsius, get some energy for the week and for these game days. That is Celsius, the PewterReport.com official energy drink.
If Peach Vibe isn't your favorite, then I will fight you.
Peach Vibe, you might want to fight me. I love Peach Vibe. Peach Vibe is in my top 5. I will say that. You got Baker under pressure. He throws and he finds Cade Otton over the middle across the 30 for a big first down. And Cade Otton's fired up. From Cade Otton.
Just for Matt Mateo. Oh, no gloves. It's going to be a good
gloves?
Cade Otton game because he's not wearing the gloves.
16-yard pickup for Cade Otton across the middle.
And I'm going to do my best to stop whistling right before you call the play. I promise.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think we're both, because I have the what's it called, the Spectrum service going up right now. So you're still slightly ahead of me. There's a pass to Mike Evans, gets about 5 yards. Set up a 2nd and 5 coming up here. I think that stop you saw Ryan Neal get really fired up when they get that 4th down stop, and then come right out and you see Cade Otton with a big play across the middle. This Bucs team is starting to feel a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, and you can see they're in shotgun. We talked a little bit about that so that they can really gauge the pass rush a little bit better. And they're starting to get their rescind
something happened.
Half a sentence I just started.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Not an easy one for Rachaad White there. He loses 2 yards. They got after that Bucs offensive line and stopped Rachaad White before he could get anywhere. That's going to set up a 3rd and 7. So just after we were talking about them getting something going, a negative run. But we'll see. Now they're showing the promo for Rams-Bengals, which will kick off here in about 45 minutes. But the Bucs will come out on 3rd and 7 from about the 34-yard line. Baker and shotgun, Otton out wide. They've got is that Evans and that Palmer bunched up, or is that Tompkins?
I couldn't see. I apologize. I had my head down.
Got Baker. Baker's gonna get. Oh, he's out of it. He's out of structure plays. He's rolling to his right. He's looking for someone. He's gonna run and just get back to the line of scrimmage. One of those chaotic plays that we've seen all too often the first couple weeks, but the Eagles pass rush getting after him, and that will force another Buccaneer punt. So the Bucs do not take advantage of the turnover on downs. But we've got the clock under 7 minutes here in the first quarter. It's 0-0 as Camarda looks to punt it away. Yeah,
great job by Baker not to take the sack and to at least get back to the line of scrimmage. I think he actually might have gotten a yard or two with his hand stuck out there. I'm going to not talk as my boy goes. Boom! Damn.
A lot of hang time on that one. Oh. Backpedaling to the 4. He's making people miss. He's getting out. This is a big return for the Bucs. This is not looking good, and Camarda doesn't force him out. It wasn't Camarda in the end, but that is a big-time return for Philadelphia. 52 yards across into Tampa Bay territory. So just not quite in the red zone yet, but shortly, just short of where they ended their last drive. So, these special teams units to me have – I don't want to say the whole special teams units because Camarda's done a great job, but just punt coverage, kick coverage has just been problematic for, I feel like, a few years now.
It has, but it looked like they were doing really well with it the first couple of games. I mean, this may be with Zion McCollum starting on defense. I'm pretty sure he's not out there as a gunner where he was shining week 1. He was on top of returners week 1. So this may be where depth hurts the Bucs in a maybe unexpected way.
Yeah, that really is frustrating because that was a 60-yard punt from Camarda and a 52-yard return. So they really erased a great punt from your boy there.
Yep.
And it'll be DeAndre Swift up the middle for another first down. They're running the ball pretty well so far. They didn't get that 4th and 2, but they are moving the ball. They're running the ball much better than the Bucs are up to this point. They'll have a first down at about the 30-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, Devin White got that was not a good Devin White play. That was not a good play at all. Devin White was late to react. Levante David basically had to push him into the play. He just
And it almost looked like Jason Kelsey just pushed him into the tackle, I think, right there, into making the tackle.
Yeah, I think White thought that Hurts had kept the ball and he was trying to get to the other side of the field. And, Hurts didn't keep the ball, and it wasn't good.
And there's a stop. Looks like Antoine Winfield Jr., right? They're going to give him a yard, it looks like, but meets DeAndre Swift at the line. See if the Bucs can buckle down again here in the red zone area or just shy of it and hold these. Will be interesting to see if they get to another 4th and short if they do take the points this time.
Yeah, you would think they would, right? I mean, typically people are reactive in their decisions. The most recent piece of information is the most relevant when making our decision-making trees, even though that isn't necessarily the best thing.
Oh, and that was Dallas Goedert gets just a yard or 2, 3 yards. Looks like the Bucs could have stopped him shorter, but they're showing DeAndre Swift's father, Darren Swift, who is a much larger man than myself and much larger man than most people. And he's just putting these reps up.
Gosh.
I can't do that.
I don't think most humans can.
All right, we've got a 3rd and 6 here for the Eagles. 3rd and 6. They got Hurts and shotgun. Josh has made me think something bad happens here. It's DeAndre Swift, and he just carves right through the defense, and that's a big gain inside the 15. 3rd and 6, and they run Swift for 15 yards. It's not a recipe for winning this game. The Eagles' offensive line is just getting after it right now.
It's a hat on a hat, and they're just moving Bucs defenders wherever they want them to go. I mean, this is you hate to say the word embarrassing, but I'm sure that's how the Bucs defense feels right now.
Oh, 100%.
4 carries, 36 yards for Swift so far.
Oh man,
9 yards per carry.
We have an injury here or something.
Looks like
Jamel Dean.
Yeah, which is not good because the Bucs don't have a lot of depth at cornerback.
That is, with Carlton Davis out, that is probably the last person you want to see shaken up.
They have
Dean is down.
Name's escaping me.
Well, I will say too. What was that?
Who would come in for Dean? I'm trying to remember. It's he's an undrafted free agent, and his name's escaping me. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
I think they wouldn't bring in Delaney. Do you think?
It could be Delaney, or I was thinking Derek Pitts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think in either shot. I mean, Delaney, I think, has always been a decent depth guy. But when you're running out against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown with Zion McCollum and Delaney, although I don't know if it really matters at this point. The Eagles are just going to run the ball, I think it looks like, for easy yardage every time.
Yeah, but A.J. Brown won't be happy. He'll have something to say about that.
John Doe says Bucs run defense will not be ranked number 2 after this week. Yeah, it doesn't look like the number 2 run defense right now. It's been tough so far for the Bucs.
This is what happens when you start playing a much higher level of competition. Not everyone in the NFL is the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, right? There are good teams as well.
Long Lost Laser says Devin White shedding a block would be a welcome sight. It's been tough. It's been funny, kind of like watching the narratives take shape throughout the week because the Bucs have played 2 teams and beaten 2 teams that have a combined 0-6 record. But because and the Eagles, I believe their opponents have been a combined 1-5, but they're the Eagles. They're the Eagles, so it's like it doesn't.
They're also
matter
the defending NFC champions. Yeah,
they have that stature with as much change and transition as there's been for the Bucs this offseason. They don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Well, and to Long Lost Glazer's point, yes, it would be nice to see that with Devin White, but when did I become the Devin White apologist? But I'm going to say that, like the defensive line is getting rocked.
Yeah.
Right? As a linebacker, you have to be you're dependent upon your defensive line to at least create some type of tension. And that's not happening. And they're allowing guys to just freely get up to the second level and erase White and
first and 10. It looks like, is that Delaney out there, number 30? Hurts drops
Yep.
back to pass, and it is broken up. There's Devin White. He looked for, who is that? Stoll?
Yep.
Yeah, across the middle and can't make the catch. It's going to be 2nd and 10. So, I don't know, Josh. I'd just keep running the ball if I was Philadelphia.
Right? I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Especially with where you are in the field. You're at the 13-yard line. I think you could hand the ball to Swift. He might run for 13-yard touchdown right off the bat. 2nd and 10 coming up here. Hurts in the shotgun again. And 3:48 to go in the first quarter. He doesn't hand off. He fakes the throw, and it's Goddard. There's a flag on the play. Goddard got about 2 yards there. Let's see what the flag is. I didn't see anything, but they didn't really show it.
Yeah.
We've got a look at A.J. Brown, who's looking disappointed.
Well, it did go against the offense.
It's an illegal man downfield. I have the game on mute. I'm not the best with the hand signals. I've got, looks like ineligible downfield pass. That's what they're called.
I think it was an ineligible man downfield.
Yeah, this is
and
Dickerson.
it's because it was a run pass option.
I'm looking up at what's it with the NFL Jesus?
Yeah,
Jesus. I'm looking at that, and it says ineligible downfield pass, which I've never seen it described as that. I've seen it as an eligible man downfield. We've got 2nd and 15 now. The Bucs accept the penalty. Looked like they were going to show blitz with Ryan Neal coming up, but he does blitz, and he's going to force a throw, and it's a wide throw. Misses Dallas Goedert. Now it'll be 3rd and 15 for the Eagles. So, I mean, it'd be huge here. I mean, it would not be ideal, obviously, to go down, but if the Bucs can hold them to a field goal at this spot.
Yeah, I mean, given the way that Philly has basically moved at will for the Bucs to get out of these first 2 drives, having only allowed 3 points, and again, not sustainable results, but definitely something that you'll thank your lucky stars that has happened.
Yeah, and I think if you kind of give yourself some belief early on too, things might start to fall in your favor a little bit, and you kind of stay in the game, you hang around, you start to believe. There's pressuring Hurts. It's Barrett chasing after him. He throws it out of the end zone, and it's going to be a 4th and 15 coming up. As Paul says right here, Tampa needs to bring pressure in the blitz since the D-line is getting beat. I mean, they got after Hurts a little bit there.
They did, and a really heads-up play by Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. So you saw Barrett and JTS both bearing in on Hurts, crashing the pocket, but they weren't able to get enough depth where it would crash in on him and he could roll out. And JTS correctly understood, Shaq's going to keep him rolling to his right. I need to disengage from my blocker and head him off so he doesn't have the ability to get upfield and make a play with his legs. Forced Hurts to keep moving to the sideline and eventually have to throw the ball away as Philly does take the lead as Jake Elliott hits his field goal, and they are now up 3-0.
It still is, as some commenters are saying here in the chat, that was a win for the Bucs defense. I mean, that long punt return, not a great way to start the drive. They were giving up some chunk run plays. Interesting to see Philly go away from the run.
Yeah, that's
the 3 straight passes there.
Some of that is the Bucs did win. I mean, that was a great play on 3rd down. Devin White broke up a pass. Like the Bucs defense did some good things, but the fact that it's not 7-0, I think, is more on Philly's decision, as you put it, to not continue to run the ball at will and move to, all right, we're going to start throwing the ball. They kind of threw themselves out of, I would say, a touchdown right there. So, but if you're the Bucs defense, you take it. You know, at the beginning of that drive, if you were to say we hold them to a field goal, that's a win. No, they got the win. Yeah.
So it's 3-0 Philly, 3:05 left in the first quarter. Stan Glassman says, I don't know if it's Stan Glassman or Stan Glassman, says both corners with fat new contracts are injured.
So I'm curious there, Stan, like, do you think that's their fault? Like, I don't think either guy's like, I signed my contract. Now I'm going to go
I think it's just
beat my elbow into the wall until it shatters.
I think it's just an unfortunate reality that the Bucs
Sure.
are facing right now. Because,
that makes sense.
Yeah, you shell out the money and then can't get the guys on the field. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if Dean comes back. I haven't seen anything. I was going to check, see if there's been anything up on Twitter. I'm just going to call it Twitter.
I refuse to call it the other thing.
So, yeah, 36-yard field goal by Jake Elliott. Not seeing anything on Dean yet. See if the Bucs can get something going offensively. I mean, their first drive, there were some plays there. They have not been able to get any push in the run game, which I think is not a great start because you're going to have to run the ball at least a bit, or else they're just going to start teeing off. But what do we got going on the TV now? Captain Fear is looking at ways to beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw something about display joyful. I mean, being
hospitality.
Joyful, yeah, being joyful, I'm sure is a prereq for winning. But I don't.
One of them said something about Troy Aikman's games or something like that, and then it said mentioned last year's Super Bowl. So a little bit of fun for Captain Fear right there. All right, Elliott kicking off after the field goal, and it looks like it will go for a touchback. Tompkins back, and it goes through the end zone. Bucs will start at the 25. How about that stat, Josh? Baker Mayfield has started a game under 8 different head coaches. Hugh Jackson, Greg Williams, Freddie Kitchens, Kevin Stefanski, all with Cleveland. Then Matt Rule and Steve Wilkes in Carolina, Sean McVay, and now Todd Bowles.
That's something.
Yeah. I mean, he could – I saw someone mention recently that Mike Evans could write a book about all the quarterbacks he's played for. I think Baker could write a book about all the coaches he's played for. Ooh, Sean Tucker in the game now, and he's getting dropped for a loss of 1. It's Reed Blankenship coming up with a tackle. Still not getting anything going. They switch running backs, and it's no different of a result.
That one's on Tucker. You got to break that tackle.
That's the thing is if he breaks that tackle, that's a big gain, I think. Who is that out there blocking? He's got Otten. He's got a block from Otten right there, and then there was. He's
got green grass. Yeah, that ton of green grass ahead of him.
Baker and shotgun, and it's not a good one. Oh, sack. He goes down. He tries to climb the pocket a little bit, and let's see who got that one.
Marlon Tuyas. I can't pronounce that name.
I was going to give it a shot. But, yeah, Baker, the pressure was on Baker immediately, tried to step up, and then there was just nowhere for him to go. It ends up being a 2-yard loss on a sack. So, better than the initial, but it looks like the initial pressure comes from Gedeke, on Gedeke's side.
From Malk. And Malk in the
Malk.
middle as well.
Yeah. All around, not a good look there. It's going to be 3rd and 13 now after a negative run and a sack. It will be Baker and shotgun, 2 in the backfield. He's going to throw deep for Tompkins. It's an incomplete pass. So Baker now 3 of 6, and the Bucs will have to quickly punt the ball away. And this is where you get into dangerous territory because you're not showing that you can move the ball in this defense at all.
Right. You're taxing your defense because now they're having to get out on the field a ton. The time of possession difference has got to be stark at the moment. I'm trying to see if I can find that quickly. I don't think I have it. Yeah. Here it is. Actually, it looks like it's the Bucs have held it for long.
What a punt by Jake Camarda. Can they actually cover this one though? My goodness, this is ridiculous. That punt took him back to about the 3-yard line. I think he was going backwards trying to catch the ball, and he ended up getting back to the 19. Because there were guys there, and he just kind of ran around them. This is
there are not a lot of positives.
Yeah.
Thus far in this game. Not many at all. How are you feeling?
That was a 73-yard punt, Josh.
My boy. My man.
It would be 3 yards to the 5-yard line, but Philly gets back to the 19. So about 1st and 10 at the 19, a minute and a half.
First in line at his Canton induction. I will be there.
Minute and a half left. As Engel says here, at least Camarda is going to get special teams player of the week again, maybe. I don't know. His net yardage is being hurt, but it's not his fault. Short run there, it looks like from it's Swift again.
Got a flag.
Running, we do have a flag.
Looks like it may be holding against the offense. Oh. Not the offense.
Holding on the defense.
Holding on the defense.
Greg Gaines. Josh, let me level with you. Forgot about Greg Gaines through the first 2 weeks. Saw his name somewhere this week, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Greg Gaines."
Greg Gaines plays for the Bucs.
He does.
I cover the Bucs.
First and 10. First and 10. Hurts takes the handoff. He's got plenty of time. He's throwing the ball to Devontae Smith. First down, 15 yards across the 40-yard line. Yeah, how are we feeling, Bucs fans? Let's sound off in the chat here. Feeling. I don't know. If they can weather the storm early, that'd be promising at least. But if they start to fall behind 10-0, 17-0, 17-3, anything like that, it's going to be a long night for them. Quick first quarter so far, though. There's Hurts scrambling, and he's going to slide down just shy of the marker. Looks like about a 5 or 6 yard run as the clock continues to tick. Under 30 seconds in the first quarter. But yeah, quick first quarters because they're just running the ball right down the Bucs' throats pretty frequently. So
At will.
Looks like they will line up on 2nd and 5 here. Hurts again in the shotgun. They might just let this go to the quarter.
Play.
Yeah.
3, 2.
Yeah, it's strange. So you're about 3 seconds ahead of me, but I think we're both on like cable.
Right. And I'm pretty sure you're closer to the signal.
I would think so. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
like 1,000 miles away.
I'm about 20 minutes down the road from Raymond James Stadium. So it is 3-0 Eagles.
Satellite beams to North Carolina faster.
3-0 Eagles at the end of the first quarter. So yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse. I guess that's what you can say. It could be a lot worse for the Bucs. They have not been able to get anything going offensively. They've got a couple first downs early, but the run game has been a problem. And we'll see. We'll see if they can get something going in the second quarter. But the Philly does have the ball 2nd and 5 at the end on the other side of the break.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't run the ball. Putting yourself into a lot of 3rd and longs. Baker's 3rd down magic is regressing to the mean. So your offense is doing all of nothing. Then on defense, you can't stop the run. Cover 3 spot drop is giving wide open receivers for Jalen Hurts to hit. So Philly is moving down the field at will. The lone bright spot is the Bucs' red zone defense so far. And again, not a sustainable thing to continue to rely upon.
You're forgetting another positive, which is, as JK points out here, at least the rest of the NFC South also lost. We've got Stan Glassman also saying at least all the other teams in the NFC South lost. That's positive.
Yeah.
So, hey, honestly,
I love Bucs fans that no matter how dark the day, they will find the glimmer of hope.
That's the thing is like we've reached the coping level already in the start of the second quarter, but I understand it. I mean, you probably don't go into this game expecting to beat the Eagles. I think you want to look more competitive than they have. But I think the key will be making sure they're at least healthier going into a divisional matchup next week. But we'll see. We'll see how Carlton Davis can bounce back, hopefully, and then we'll see if Jamel Dean gets back out there. I still haven't seen anything on Dean. I think someone saying it was a shoulder. Might have been back in the game, I think, before me. 73-yard punt by Jake Camarda. I mean, that man, Pro Bowler.
I was in on him first.
Talking to Todd Bowles here on the sideline before the second quarter. I don't have closed captioning on, though, because I can't tell you what he's saying. So if anyone knows what he's saying.
Well, we got to run the ball better, and we got to stop the running the ball better.
Stop the run the ball, score more points. Don't turn the ball
Commenters,
over.
please tell us what Todd Bowles was saying. Wrong answers only.
Also, appropriate answers only. I think we have to probably put that disclaimer out there.
I mean, if you feel necessary.
Oh, that's just a bad throw from Jalen Hurts. I think that one slipped out of his hands. I think so far it's 3-0. It's 3-0 Eagles, but it's not worse because the Eagles weirdly went to the pass and just outside the red zone, and because Jalen Hurts has missed some open receivers, made some mistakes early on. 3rd and 5 coming up. The JK says, Lisa, that man needs to be calling the D. Doing the in game just before the quarter starts. Todd Bowles like, hold on, gotta talk, do a quick interview. 3rd and 5. Play clock running down to 3. Hurts back to pass. He's got a blitz. He's gonna scramble to those left. Not a lot of time. Is he in? Okay. Is he in getting after him?
Yeah.
Is he in forces an incomplete pass to the sideline?
So far through the last, I'd say 5 quarters, the Bucs have done a very good job of staying disciplined against some mobile quarterbacks, not allowing them to win with their legs. Slot, what was that, a double?
So for your wrong answers only, JK says he just said that Baker was cut and they were running a contest for a fan to be running back.
Does that mean Rachaad White moved to quarterback?
I don't know. Could be. Could be. Here's a punter who is not as good as Jake Camarda setting the punt.
Also known as every other punter in the league.
Oh, I need to see that again. It looks like Josh Hayes just ruined someone's life down there on the block. Yeah, Chris Izzian has been just an absolute revelation.
Seriously. Absolutely.
Through two games, a quarter, and 18 seconds. He's just been one of the best players in the Bucs defense. He's just making plays.
Yeah, as somebody who prides himself on like draft analysis and trying to get to a ton of players, as Chris Izzian becomes a starter, and in training camp, I'm like, who's this guy? I've never seen him before in my life. Trying to go back and find tape on him to say, oh, okay. So he came out of nowhere, and I mean, he's a baller.
Yeah, no, he's been good. Bucs have 1st and 10 here. Just shy of the 16-yard line, looks like. Baker and shotgun. You don't see. Rachaad White, pass to him. He gets some space and finds a 1st down, right almost near the 30, across the 30-yard line.
Dave,
so they beat the rush a little bit there, and Rachaad slips out for a big gain. Or a nice gain. I wouldn't say a big gain. Yeah.
Miami Dolphins scored more points than Tampa Bay Bucs offense has in yards. Just going to put that out there. I'm going to keep reminding people of that until it's not the case.
Baker is under center here on 1st and 10. Up the middle, Rachaad White has nowhere to go.
We should take bets on how long it takes the Bucs to reverse that particular piece of information. Under on halftime. Do we think the Bucs will have more yards of offense than the Miami Dolphins put up points yesterday by halftime? Yes or no?
So what are we at? What are they at now?
What is it? 21-16 and -3. So that's like 34 through the first 3 drives. So they're half of Miami's points.
Josh, it's not particularly good.
It's not great, Bob.
We've got 2nd and 10. Another handoff to White. He does find some space up the middle. Looks to pause for a little bit. I'm surprised he found some room there.
Hey,
looked like he just stopped in the backfield for a quick second. Found a lane up the middle though.
Yeah,
7 yards near the 40-yard line. We've got about a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 coming up.
Yeah, Bucs pulled 2 guys from the right side and created a nice little hole for him.
Josh, we've got a question. Oh, we'll get to this question after this play. Baker checks the sideline. 3rd and 3 coming up. Oh, he finds Mike Evans across the middle near the 50, across the 45 near the 50. 1st down. Bucs with 2 first downs on this drive. Moving the ball a little bit. But we've got this question here, and I think we're starting to see a little bit. So, Josh, what are the chances the Bucs figure out a way to run more lateral type run plays than up the middle? I'd more.
I'd like to try and see it. Philly's defense does look fast sideline to sideline, but through the first 2 weeks where all other offenses have had success is running to the right, and that's usually against Hassan Reddick. I'll let you call this play.
And Baker throws a quick one out to Rashad White. He makes a guy miss, makes another guy miss. Nice little gain. This is what we talked about on the Pewter Pregame Show. It was finding Rashad White in space.
Dave, call me. Saying, Canales, got your game plan, bud. So, I'd like to see them run a few mid zones. My one thought is if they don't trust Hainsey, like the center position is so important on the mid zone run scheme. If they don't trust him, then that's probably why they're going with more up the middle stuff, more duo, which calls for a double team with the center and one of the guards, and that may be why the game plan has gone that way.
Yeah, 2nd and 4. He throws a quick one to Devin Tompkins. He's not going to get anywhere. He might have gotten a yard, but the Eagles had that one locked down.
Which is an interesting thought that I didn't previously have as far as them maybe going away from mid-zone tonight specifically against this Eagles dominating front.
Plays in opponent's territory. 12 for the Eagles, 1 for the Bucs. It is 3-0 Eagles, just a reminder. So this could be a lot worse than it is in the Bucs if they can convert this one here.
Hey, they're about to double that number.
Quite literally have to. The Baker takes the snap, and he quick fire across to Chris Godwin, and he's going to get across the 30-yard line and further into Eagles territory. It's another first down for the Bucs, and now they've got something going.
And a great shot of a fan with the alarm clock uniform or jersey, alarm clock jersey.
Josh, I was writing the story earlier about the Bucs potentially facing Jameis Winston next week, and I threw an alarm clock jersey picture in there. Obviously, I mean, he didn't wear the new one, so I had to throw in an old one.
Those jerseys sucked.
It was a bit of a jump scare. I searched Jameis Winston in the admin, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. That was like just a few years ago. I tried so hard to defend those, and I don't know. Looking back, I'm like, okay. Oh man, that's a bad drop by Kate Otten.
Put the gloves back on, Kate. Put the gloves back on.
Todd Bowles' face on that one was one that people might be screenshotting and or gifting right now, because Bowles was very visibly not happy.
So I had an underdog play that I made right before
second and 10. Second and 10 coming up, and it's a handoff, and Sean Tucker has nowhere to go. He gets about 2 yards, maybe. Set up a 3rd and 8, but yeah, a 2nd and 10 up the middle, absolutely nowhere to go. Look like Davis with the tackle. He's now coming off the field, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here on 3rd and 8 if Baker can keep some of that third down magic alive. He's done it a little bit on this drive already. It's still not an advantageous situation to be in, but it stepped him back. That drop by Otten, I think, was a huge play on this drive.
It's going to be pivotal.
3rd and 8 coming up. Got Evans coming inside. Back, He's got a little bit of space. And did he break that up? I don't want to.
He did, but
there's a flag.
You got some laundry.
Okay, we've got a flag, and Baker is pointing at the Eagles' defense.
And Otten was pointing as well.
Unreasonable Thing says Bucs will be lucky to score a touchdown in this game. We'll see.
Unreasonable Things, if they keep getting pass interferences, you may be wrong.
We've got the refs discussing. He's now making the call. Actually, he's not making the call yet. There we go. Pass interference.
First down.
On the defense. Another first down for the Bucs. The drive keeps moving. The current drive, 9 plays, 68 yards. They've got about 5:10. They've got 5 minutes off the clock, 5:10. So they're moving the ball. Love to see this end in 7 points if you're the Bucs, because we saw it kind of fizzle out a couple times last week against the Bears, and it didn't cost them in the end, but it nearly did. I mean, you see it there.
Yeah, it's clear.
It's very clear. It's just,
it's like my teenager annoying the shit out of my youngest one, and then we would observe it, and he's like, "What, me? What are you talking about? I wasn't doing anything."
No DB in the history of football has ever been like, yeah, I interfered with him or I held him. They're always just like, How could you possibly have seen that? What were you watching? I didn't touch him. Meanwhile, they show the replay, and he's just pushing the guy into the ground.
I see DBs as like doing the whataboutisms. He grabbed me first. Why didn't you see that? Right? What about
agree with
him?
Brian. I agree with Brian Hernandez. The Eagles' D line is so good. Yeah, they
Very
are.
much so.
Baker to the right. He's going to have to throw it. He throws it deep and gets Godwin, but he's not in bounds. That looked like it did not feel good for Godwin or potentially the camera person right there. I couldn't see. We got a 3rd and 9 coming up then. Oh, that ball just sailed on him. Godwin had a couple steps there in the end zone.
His hands are so good.
It's a good point here. Defense getting a much needed rest. Yeah, I mean the Bucs have been, the offense has been on the field for about 6 minutes now.
And that's 6 minutes of game clock.
Well, I don't. Long Lost Glazer says, "Run it again." Hazy wants some more of Jordan Davis. We've got Baker Mayfield throwing. Oh my goodness, Mike Evans can't bring that one in. That should have been a touchdown. Man, I thought the Bucs were about to prove unreasonable things wrong and score a touchdown right after that comment. But man, Mike, it was just the throw looked a little late, but it's a good play.
But he's got to catch that.
He does have to catch it. It's also, I think that's Sidney Brown. Kind of gets his hand in there, but
doesn't matter. You want to be a $28 million man.
That's two, yeah. Chase McLaughlin on now for the Bucs to tie the game. 33-yard attempt. And that sucks. That's one that you want back.
Yep.
But it did look like a good play from Sidney Brown. I want to see it again because it almost looked like his hand got on the ball.
So you said, and that sucks right as the kick went up for me.
Oh.
So for some milliseconds.
The kick was good.
Yeah. The
3-3.
I was like, oh man, he jumped ahead of me and this ain't good. So that's 2 plays there where Baker to Evans, where you can say both guys didn't do as well as they could have, because there's also the high throw or 2 drives ago, right?
Yeah, the opening drive
to Evans that he couldn't bring down. If you're going to be a $28 million man, if you get your hands on it, you got to come down with it. But also, if you want to be a franchise quarterback, like, give your guy a better chance at the ball.
Yeah. Totally fair on both accounts, I'd say. But yeah, there's some people in the chat saying that Brown got his hand in there at the last second. I like Brown. I liked him coming out of.
I think we all did.
Yeah,
We're all big fans.
He was a staff favorite, I think. It's bizarre. I mean, I know we are 5 months removed from the draft now, but we were talking all pre-draft process about finding these guys that can play in the slot and find them like, oh, it could be this guy, it could be this guy. This guy would fit Todd Bowles' system. This guy would. They don't end up drafting one until they draft Josh Hayes in the 5th or 6th round, and then it ends up being an undrafted guy who gets the start. So
they could have gotten Hayes as an undrafted free agent. He was on 0 boards. That one was a head scratcher for me. Although I know Pewter Report Scott Reynolds was all about it.
Of course.
Because Josh Hayes went to Kansas State.
He did. Yeah, a good drive for the Bucs. You want to see it end in 7, but 13 plays, 69 yards, and 609.
From a yardage standpoint, yeah, but even that drive just felt belabored.
Yeah,
right? like you'd 1 step forward, 2 steps back, aided by a pass interference call. Like nothing felt easy or fluid.
Yeah,
exactly. Angle.
Yeah, that's the thing is the defense needs to come back out, and if they can get a quick 3 and out, it'd be huge for them.
Could you imagine if I didn't tell you what the score was, but just based on the play so far in this game, what would you say the score is? 14-3
Eagles, maybe.
Okay, so the fact that it is 3-3. This is how, like, if I were to game script how the Bucs kind of went about winning, now that I think about it, this is kind of it. Like the Eagles just don't put them away.
Yeah.
And they stay hanging around, and then something happens that just switches everything.
I don't know what it is. Whenever I see the ball fall off the tee on a kickoff, then they like zoom in on the ball like laying sideways. It just looks so sad. Like it's just like, oh, all right, here we go. But now Camarda looking to kick this one off. It's so interesting how they're doing this with the doubleheaders on Monday Night Football now, because they've got this graphic up in the left corner that's been up there for a while now, advertising the game on ESPN and ESPN2, the Bengals and the Rams. So, I mean, I know that's all the same family of networks, but it's funny how they're doing that. Because do you remember, Josh, when a few years ago, I think it might have been, they were doing like the doubleheaders early on in the season where it was an East Coast game, then a West. Hasn't been the case lately.
So you broke up to that. So I did not catch.
I was talking about the doubleheaders they're running. I remember when they were doing like an East Coast game and then a West Coast game. But like a few years ago, I feel like it might have only been a week 1 thing, but it was like it would be a 7:00 ish kickoff on the East Coast, and they'd have one of the West Coast games on a 10:00 Monday night game. But Hurts throws across the middle. It's Gainwell for about 6 yards.
So it's going back to your point, like it's like Philly doesn't want to lean into what they've been doing really well. Now, typically they do pass the ball 60% of the time on first down, but until the Bucs show they can stop the run, why aren't you pushing that envelope? Yeah,
2nd and 4 now. So the Bucs could bring some pressure. Yaya Diaby in the game. I think Anthony Nelson's on the other side. Nice rush by Diaby. He's kind of forced him out of the pocket. Hurts is going to roll to his right and throw incomplete. Can't find A.J. Brown.
Devin White was spying him there.
Jamel Dean, just for clarification, is back in the game.
Well, that's good. Yeah, Devin White spying Hurts there. So as he broke out of the pocket, White has the speed to hang with Hurts and prevent him from really getting upfield.
Christopher Oxteen says, is Kalijah Kancey out for this season? No. It's just it's been a struggle, I think, for him to kind of get that feeling 100%. I get wanting to get him on the field as soon as possible, but also they've got to be sure that he's ready to go. I don't want to keep seeing him play a few plays and then come back out. We got 3rd and 4 for the Eagles. Some pressure. He throws over the middle. It's a first down. Oh, he spins off a tackle from Dean. Dallas Goedert.
I think he was Who was he working against on that? Was it
Neal?
No, Neal I think was up top. Tackle. I think it was Jamel Dean. Yeah. So, and you'd like to see Dean make the tackle, and you'd like to see him press down on the throw a little bit faster when Goddard goes to break his route.
1st and 10. It's like Kenneth Gainwell still in the game. In the backfield, Hurts is in shotgun.
Just another massive hole.
Yeah. Devin White makes a tackle, but 8 yards down the field.
I hung on for dear life.
I know it didn't count for anything, but Zion was aggressive off the snap on that one. He got, I think it was Devontae Smith. He got after him.
Which Smith has not impacted this game yet.
No, it would mean AJ Brown
a few catches, but does Smith have a catch?
He has 2 catches for 16 yards.
Okay.
So
I mean, that's holding a big game guy.
Brown has 2 for 44.
That's so much different.
Good rush by JTS, and that looked like a little bit of a hold. Shaq's trying to get to him, and he throws. Oh, he's got him wide open. That is a backbreaker for the Bucs. So they lost. That's Zacchaeus, isn't it? They lost him there because they were nearly at Jalen Hurts.
Yep. I mean, Barrett was right there. Who was that with him? Was that Logan Hall?
Oh,
Hurts is kind of putting up what Baker's done for the last couple of weeks for the Bucs. Just pressure's there, and he's just hanging on, finding a way to extend the play.
But yeah, Zacchaeus was wide open near the sideline. 24 yards into Bucs territory, and it's a run. They have not really where to go. They finally get to him. A couple guys touched him, but 1 yard for Gainwell. This first half, Josh, has flown by. It's just that it's been a lot of runs. But we're an hour into the game, and there's 5 minutes left in the second quarter.
I wouldn't call it entertaining football.
No, I absolutely wouldn't. I would not at all. But the Bucs are currently in the game.
Hey, if you would have said that, 5 minutes left in the second quarter and the game's tied, that's I got to imagine that the win expectancy for the Bucs has gone up, despite the level of play.
Yeah, I think it was 70% for the Eagles before this game. There's a pass to Brown, a few yards, about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Say they're in field goal range. The other game just kicked off. Got a 2-screener going on right now. Joe Burrow is playing.
Trying to see if there's something that has live win probabilities.
What is this dual screen? Yeah, they're got 2 screens going on right now. The Bucs game is slightly bigger.
This. I hate this when they do this stuff.
You're not a big 4-screen guy on College Football Saturdays?
The quad
YouTube
box
TV launched that, yeah.
Yeah, the quad box with I thought you were talking about NFL Red Zone with
I think they do it too.
Hansen. I'm fine with that because you tune into Red Zone to see all of the games, right? To see the big moments of all of the games. But you tune into Monday Night Football because it's supposed to be an island game and it's supposed to have all eyes on the one game.
The chat is not happy. Yeah.
We riot.
3rd and 10 after Dallas Goedert false start. Down to 2 seconds, down to 1. They get to snap off. JTS with a good rush. He can't spin off of him. Got to him. Oh, my goodness.
Nope.
That is.
Go ahead. Say it out loud.
That is ridiculous. That is a 34-yard touchdown from Jalen Hurts to Zacchaeus Olamide. I don't know. I've never known how to say his name. He would put the Falcons. But they nearly got to Jalen Hurts there. They should have gotten to Jalen Hurts there. And then Hurts stands in and delivers a throw, and there's just no one around him. That's twice on that drive that Zacchaeus just got lost. Let's see what happened here. JTS nearly gets to him. He does have a lot of time, though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Almost. I stopped whistling, but I'm still doing all these grunts.
Oh, man.
Somebody's going to, clip it and put it out there. Just me,
10-3. 3:32 left in the first half.
That's
a tough one.
That is a 2-minute drill.
Extremely frustrating for them. But yeah, 3:32 got some time to work with. The Bucs did get the ball first, so they need to put up some points here. Would be huge for Philly, at least if they get the stop, and then even if they don't score again, just they have the ball coming out of the half, they have a chance to double up. But real quick, let us jump into a word from Celsius, our presenting sponsor.
We all bleed the same. We all bleed the same.
Shout out to Celsius, our official energy drink at PewterReport.com. Man, yeah, I was thinking this might be a bit of a later night, but this game has gone pretty quickly so far. So I may not need a double Celsius day today, but did have a peach vibe earlier to start this day. But
I had to be somewhere for my other job at 5:30 this morning, so I am 3 Celsius. Is it Celsius, the plural?
I think so. I think that's what Matt Matera has coined it as Celsius.
Yeah. I am 3 Celsius into this day. At this point, I'm just trying to do water. All right.
Adam says, not to be doom and gloom, but that felt like a gut punch that can take the fight right out of the defense. Glad I haven't close to the end of the half. Maybe they can regroup.
I mean, Adam, I don't know how much the defense was fighting. And they're getting, for the most part, they're getting handled at the line of scrimmage. The defensive line is. I mean, it looks like they're getting pressure, but Hurts is just holding on to the ball for forever. I mean, look at all that time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Philly had enough time to read the new details of the writer's contract with the motion picture industry. That's a lengthy document.
There's so much green in the stands right now. I mean, I grew up in Tampa, and I think you also did, right? It's always been frustrating to me. It's I know a lot of people moved to Florida, moved to Tampa from elsewhere, but it's always just really I think an annoying reality.
My mom moved to Tampa from Philly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's just, I mean, there was a lot of Bears fans there last week. There's a lot of Eagles fans there tonight. It seems to always be a problem.
And those are some storied franchises that travel well wherever they go.
Rashad White up the middle has nowhere to go. He bounces out to the outside, but still really can't go anywhere. It's 2 yards as we're under 3.5 minutes left. But yeah, I mean, Hurts had all day. The Eagles right now outgaining the Bucs 202-95, averaging 7.5 yards per play.
The Bucs have more yards than the Dolphins had points yesterday. We didn't make it to halftime. And yeah, time of possession has been pretty even. Like, this feels like it's been so lopsided, and it kind of has, but it's still a 10-3 game, and the Bucs have the ball. So Mark Fisher with a good point here. If Evans catches that ball, this game has a different feel. True. If he catches either of those balls, if Baker gives them slightly better balls to catch.
Chris Godwin makes a catch, takes a shot. There's a flag on the play. This is coming back.
An eligible man downfield.
There's another one. This was one on the Eagles earlier.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, how does Matt Filer get too far downfield? Looks like it's raining in Tampa now.
Looks like it, yeah. It is. Looks like it's coming up pretty hard. Todd Bowles now has a rain jacket on. Oh, it's pouring there. It's not pleasant.
2nd and 13.
I don't know if it's raining where I am, but 2nd and 13 in the rain. 2.5 minutes left in the half. Palmer goes in motion. Baker with some time throws it across the middle, and it's picked. That is just a bad throw. It's a bad decision, and the Eagles now are going to have a chance to really – I don't want to say put this game away, but if they score here and then get the ball back, it's to start the third quarter. Not great. That is Reed Blankenship with whatever that dance was. The first turnover of the season for the Bucs. Now every team in the league has turned the ball over. That's a bad one too. Like, that's the worst time it could come for the Bucs. I was trying to see what he's seeing here. He has got him for a second, but he throws it late.
Yep.
That's just bad. Blankenship was right there. All right. Well, Eagles up 10-3, now have the ball in Tampa Bay territory in the rain. If they just want to go to the ground game, this game could be over by 9:30. 13-3
And they do.
It is Gainwell. I mean, I know Gainwell's been running well. I mean, the Eagles are just running well in general, and Gainwell has been – we haven't seen DeAndre Swift in a while. He ran 5 times for 38 yards, 7.6 yards per carry. But, I mean, Gainwell's now in 4 for 14 so far. We're going to get to the 2-minute warning here with the Eagles up 10-3.
So, I mean, you don't love to talk about this, but honestly, there is a wide talent gap between these two teams.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're starting to see it play out, you know?
And I think you're also – it's worth acknowledging that these are two teams in, like, very different stages of their development.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like you want to see the Bucs hang around and at least put up a fight And if they can do that, that will be, I think, pretty big going forward. But no one ever expected them to win this game. And I hate that we're already doing this in the first half, but it is it's just, it's the reality of where they are. I mean, they beat the Vikings and they beat the Bears, two bad teams. And now they're playing the first really good team on their schedule, and it's a bit of a wake-up call. It's still only 10-3, but Eagles have a chance here to make it a little worse, and then if the Bucs can't get on the board to end the half, the Eagles do get the ball back. So it's just the Bucs haven't had anywhere to run. They haven't been able to stop the run. It's the trenches. We talked about it all throughout the pregame.
And there's been a lot made, and myself very much included, about the improvements at the offensive coordinator position. I haven't been in love with Canales' play calling to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard it when Canales had his presser 2 Thursdays ago. He was talking about how he had some really cool third down stuff that he was drawing up, and he was really excited about it. And hey, the Bucs executed it well against the Bears, but I just hope that that's not the strategy. Is we're going to really win on third down. I think you brought it up really well earlier tonight in terms of let's just avoid third down. Let's have really good solid play calling on first and second down, and just avoid third down altogether. The Bucs have done anything but that.
Yeah, it doesn't. I can't really think. I can't pick anything out that they've done overly well so far, especially on offense. I mean, defensively, they haven't been able to stop the run. They haven't gotten after Hurts enough. Haven't covered well. Can't run the ball.
Jake Kamara.
Couple drops. Jake Kamara. Yeah, Mike Allstott's there. Well, I guess he's going to be there probably for Rondé Barber's halftime ceremony, but he's throwing some beads out from the pirate ship.
Are you a Gasparilla guy?
I've never been a huge. I like that it's Tampa's thing. I like that that's a big Tampa thing, but I'm not. I don't know. I was gonna say I'm not a huge crowds guy, but I go out to games and theme parks and stuff like that. I don't know. I haven't been in a while. Look at Logan Hall, man. Look at him.
Give him some credit.
Drags Hurts down just shy of the mark.
On for dear life, Logan. Come back here.
Josh, you'll like this. Do you remember when you have to remember the game because UCF beat USF in such crushing fashion, but you remember earlier in that game, I think it was it what's his name? Tyree McCants, I think.
You talking about last year?
No, the first year in 2017, the year both teams were actually good. And the classic game where early on in the game, I think it was McCants was his name. He dragged a UCF defender for a 20-yard touchdown. He was holding onto his shirt.
So much material right now about me being a bandwagoner. Although I'm very interested in USF last year and this year when they're still not good. That time of my life, I had young children and I was not watching college football. So I do not remember that game. Okay. But I'm sure it happened exactly the way you said it. And it was crushing to me and my fellow Bulls.
So who we got? We've got a review here. The Eagles did the push play on 3rd and 1. They ruled it a first down initially. I don't see where it doesn't look like he got it unless they just didn't blow it dead. But initially he got stopped.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But then I can't see him. I don't know how you see him in there. I don't know how you overturn this.
Well, they definitely should believe Nick Sirianni's completely unbiased observation.
It looked like they stopped him. I don't know when they blew the whistle, but I don't know. I think either way, they probably just run it again on 4th down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. What I was going to say is it's interesting you say you were a bandwagon. You kind of did the opposite of bandwagon. You weren't paying attention when they were good, and now they're bad, and you're more into them. You're an early adopter.
Ground floor for the next one. Yeah,
early adopter.
Although I'm very, very excited about Golesh. I think he's definitely doing a good job of starting to turn the program around.
Okay, so we went to commercial during this review. A minute left in the half. I don't see how they overturn it, but I also, if they do overturn it, they run the same play and probably get it.
Yeah. One last thing on the college football. I would go so far as to say that Golesh as a first-year head coach, taking over a completely abysmal program and literally turning like most of the roster, has done far better at that than any other coach taking on similar challenges in college football this year.
Is that the hill you want to die on?
Yeah, I mean, name one other program that's doing it better than them.
Okay. Oh, man.
Oh. Hey, both teams are probably, well, I don't know who USF plays this upcoming Saturday, but I'm pretty sure Colorado is about to fall to 2-2. So if USF can win, I can actually point to, hey, the records are the same. So.
Well, USF plays in a really, really bad conference now. So they got Navy.
Okay. Yeah, we'll probably lose that. All right, back to the Bucs.
Yeah.
So, I feel like they never overturn these spots.
Yeah, I don't see how they do. There's just a mass of bodies in there, and you don't see where, I guess, whatever they initially called it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
I don't think I agree, but
yeah, they did.
That's
take
what they called it on the
Sirianni's
field.
word
So
for it.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, when do you stop the forward momentum? I think that's
like, yeah. I mean, yeah, on that overhead shot, he gets it, but he stopped initially, and so I don't know when. I don't know. And I know this is like this is just me just in full hater mode. I hate that play. I hate that no one can stop it. It's so frustrating. Hurts unwinds, does not find AJ Brown. Pretty good coverage by Zion McCollum there. Kind of forces him near the pylon.
Played it well. Oh, flag against Tampa Bay.
Thanks for the flag. Oh, there's the flag graphic. Thanks, ESPN, ABC.
Jamel Dean. He made a scene.
Not the best scene.
Devonta Smith was in the middle of his route telling the ref, hey, you grabbed my face mask.
Yeah, Shaggy says, oh, what have you done?
Oh!
Pick! It's a pick! It's Devin White coming down the sideline.
Devin!
Down the sideline. The ball is thrown right to Devin White.
Devin!
The ball's thrown directly to Devin White, who comes up with the interception, and the Bucs will have the ball with 39 seconds left in the first half.
Shotgun run. First down.
That's unbelievable. I was wondering what you were reacting to like that. Eagle says, my God, Devin White did a thing. Get live, Shaggy says.
Do you interact with J.C. Cornell?
Not all that often. I mean, I know who he is. I obviously know of him. And it was just, that was just a miscommunication there, I think.
Yeah.
Through it where there was no one except for Devin White. Baker under pressure already. He's going to get sacked. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but what was that at the end of that play? An 11-yard sack after a big pick is not what you want to do.
It's not. It is very much not. And then I find it interesting. They're letting the clock. It looked like they were letting the clock run. Like, this is where, like, call the timeout. Like, try and make something happen. You're still down, and the level of play difference is you need every shot you can get.
Yeah. So it looks like they did call timeout at around 32 seconds. Baker lost the ball there at the end.
Yeah, it looks like Robert
Hainsey recovered it, and then he got up and started running.
Biggest hole a guy with a Bucs ball has seen all day.
I saw Hainsey running with the ball after the play. I was like, I didn't even see the ball get loose there at the end. That is Hainsey was moving. He was ready to pick up the first down. He was going to get the ball and get the yards back from the sack. 32 seconds left, 2nd and 21 for the Bucs.
So they did call a timeout. They are trying to make something happen. Okay. Maybe that was not the best thing to do.
Nope. Throws it over the middle to Rashad White, and he fumbles. Oh, boy. So 2 turnovers and 2 drives after not turning the ball over in the first 2 That's the sequence right there that tells you where the Bucs really are, I think. Yeah, it just gets punched out. Not Bradbury. Bradbury recovered it. Carter punched it out, looks like.
Yeah. So I tweeted out a little earlier ago, everything going wrong at this point, which makes sense when the talent differential is this wide, right? Fairly objective statement. So Mr. Cornell quote tweets me and says, I just don't enjoy your negativity. Go work for the Saints.
Okay. That's just a bad sequence. That's one of those things where you're like, why even give Bucs? Like, why even give your fans hope? Kevin White gets the pick. They turn it into a sack for a loss of 11 and a fumble. Philly calls a timeout. Long Lost Glazer says, wonder what the Colts want for Jonathan Taylor now. This is best case scenario right here. Well, I guess the best case scenario is you hold them to a field goal and they miss it. But best case scenario is probably 13-3 at halftime with the Eagles getting the ball back to start the third quarter. Eagles still have 2 timeouts left. The ball at the 30-yard line. Second and 4, the 30-yard line. Hurts alone in the backfield. 3 at the top of the screen.
Oh, that's a false start. Apparently not going to get called.
They did not call it at all.
He timed the snap. It's what is it? Jeff Schwartz on Twitter does a really good job of outlining it. It's technically not a false start.
I think they blur the lines sometimes with that because he does not time that snap at all.
No, that one that's definitely a false.
And that's
start.
just a blatant missed one. Play went for 2 yards to A.J. Brown, by the way. 3rd and 2. 13 seconds left. Now the ref is, what are we doing here? Play is under review. 4? Josh?
I was looking down.
You know what they're reviewing?
I have no clue. I will be a better analyst in the second half. I promise. I'm playing.
That play goes.
I'm
to
playing
AJ
like the
Brown.
Bucs right now.
And you're still only down 10-3.
Oh, so I think the ref said he got out of bounds.
Oh,
and they're challenging whether that's the case. They can't be challenging whether he got the first down. It's got to be whether that clock has to keep running.
well, yeah. So they couldn't challenge it. It was just under review since it's under 2 minutes, right? So they went upstairs for that, and
right. So this comes down to whether Philly's going to have to use a timeout or not.
yeah. I don't know. This is taking a while, too. It's because I said the first half was flying by. Todd Bowles does not look pleased. I mean, I don't expect him to.
Right?
Given the way things have started. But I think that disappointment right there was at the refs. But yeah. It's funny that this review is taking so long. after on a play that should have been flagged for a false start to begin with. My goodness. What was long? Has this review taken longer than Jalen Hurts had in the pocket on that touchdown pass, or
No.
did he have?
No,
Hurts had more
eternity.
time. Hurts had
Eternity
somehow had
doesn't take
more
that long.
time. Yes, so he did. What do we got? I'm not a lip reader. I think the Eagles are going to call a timeout here. Yeah, call reverse.
Let's go.
Yes, Shaggy, I had the jinx in. I'm sorry. I just want to watch more bad football. they do the review. They make the call, and then they show the same replay for like the 10th time.
So Philly had to take the timeout. 15 seconds
15.
left. Ball's on the Bucs 28.
3rd and 2. Wonder what Todd Bowles would do in this situation.
I mean, statistically, it's blitz. Or you mean on offense?
On offense, but
Gotcha.
Hurts takes the option. He's going to get this easily. Oh, he makes a cut inside. Neal misses a tackle, and it is Isian who makes a tackle in the end. Philly calls a timeout with 9 seconds left. So they'll probably have, a shot or two at the end zone here. And then
Yeah. 1 or 2.
Ingle says, just call the false start and we don't have to waste 2 minutes of our lives. I would not call these 2 minutes wasted because I got to talk to my friend Josh.
There you go. See?
We're still doing the positive thing, right?
Light of positivity now. Go rewrite some bios.
The look on Elliott's face after he made that kick was so funny. 1st and 10, 9 seconds left. Hurts is 12 of 20 for 153 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Oh, that should have been picked. Jamel Dean nearly made up for the first 2 weeks of the season there. Does come up with a pass breakup, I guess you could call it, but it hits him right in the right hand. Now I think 3 seconds left. They will kick the field goal here. 38-yard attempt from Elliott, who I feel like is fairly automatic. .38 yards, and it's good. So the Bucs will head into halftime down 13-3. Could be a lot worse. I think you're down 10.5, and the Eagles get the ball, so it's not great. But
yeah, given the level of play, this is a dream scenario.
Should be like 24-3, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a win, I guess. If the Bucs can get a stop to start the second half and get something going offensively, maybe they could start to make this one a little more interesting. But so far, a dud of a Monday Night Football game, I will say. It is halftime. We are really quick going to hear from, or we're not going to hear from, we will just talk really quick about Celsius, our presenting sponsor of the Pewter GameDay Show. Of course, you can find them at your local bodegas, your local convenience stores, your local grocery stores, anywhere really. You can just find the store locator on their website and find that. Of course, all these amazing flavors. And we will cut for halftime here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back for the third quarter. The Eagles will get the ball to start the third quarter, but we will be back in a bit. Josh and I right back here for the rest of the Pewter GameDay Show in the second half. We'll see you soon. All right, we are back for the second half as Jake Camarda's kick goes through the end zone for a touchback. We are into the third quarter now. Josh could have been worse, but could have been a lot better, I will say. I think you're muted, Josh.
I said true. Look, I mean, the Bucs, from a score perspective, are not out of this game. 10-point differentials can be made up fairly easily with a little bit of luck, and I think that's what the Bucs are going to need in the second half. But they're losing the turnover battle. They're losing the explosive play battle. They're losing the battle in the trenches. And when those three things combine, you typically don't get many wins.
Got Jalen Hurts on play action. Oh, he gets hit. He got hit really hard. I don't know. I didn't see who that was in there, but pass falls incomplete deep for H-Man. It looked like, was that Greg Gaines?
It was Greg Gaines.
Greg Gaines, who I admitted earlier on the stream that I forgot about. Not going to forget about him now.
I don't think Jalen Hurts is forgetting about him at the moment.
I don't think so either. Got him right in the ribs.
Right in the ribs, yeah.
One thing we should note, we actually have to look out when they line up here again. Devin White is dealing with a groin injury, and I guess that's why he kind of pulled up there at the end of that interception return.
That sounds about right, yeah.
It looks like he's back in, doesn't it?
Yep.
He is back in the game, so we'll see how that. I know earlier on this week he was kind of dealing with that, wasn't he? Showing up on the injury report. Was it the groin that was? I'm trying to remember now. He was on the injury report this week.
That or could it have been a hammy?
Oh, I think you're right. So a couple things then nagging him probably.
They got to get this third down stop.
3rd and 3.
Look at Logan Hall.
Logan Hall making it to the sideline. Oh, they're giving it to him?
They're giving it
to him. Well, that was a very generous spot. He gave him like a yard and a half past the line.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's a good spot.
Okay.
But kudos to Hall. I mean, he was booking it.
So a first down for Philly. And about 2 yards up the middle for DeAndre Swift. So Swift back in the game. Didn't see him a lot in the second half of the first half. 2nd and 8 now. But yeah, the Bucs are going to need to come up with a stop here if they want to even give themselves a shot.
So I have people in my mentions saying that I'm crazy for saying there's a talent differential between the two. So I'm just going to put this out there. Philly had 6 drives in the first half. 4 of those 6 went into the Bucs 20. As Jalen Hurts comes back to pass, he's got A.J. Brown wide open against Jamel Dean, first down at about the Philly 49. So Philly had 6 drives in the first half. 4 went inside the Bucs 20. One of the other 2 was a touchdown. On the other side of the ball, the Bucs had 3 punts and 2 turnovers on 6 drives. Yes, there is a talent differential.
I mean, if you just want to look at the rosters, was Jamel Dean hurt again?
Yeah, looks like Bucs are just, and this is where the Bucs are really like at a disadvantage to the Eagles is depth. You've got a banged up, Kalijah Cansey's out, right? Ryan Jensen obviously lost for the year. Carlton Davis is out. Jamel Dean has been hurt twice in this game. I doubt he comes back into this game.
Devin White's dealing with something.
Yeah, like you just don't. And
Servassier Dennis, who would take Devin White's place, has also been out for weeks. So
you just, I mean, the injury bug, and you just don't have the dudes at the the backup positions that Philly does. And there's nothing wrong with that. To your point earlier, as Dallas Goedert gets, let's take another first down, maybe just a bit short.
Easy 9 yards.
To your point, these two teams are not at the same spot in their, life cycle. Philly is maximizing their Super Bowl window. The Bucs are coming out of it.
Yeah. All right, well, so we'll see. We've got second and one up to – okay, he's just – my goodness.
He wasn't touched for 20 yards.
And then he hurdled Antoine Winfield Jr. So DeAndre Swift just goes for 26 yards up the middle. They are – yeah, this is – there's just no one. Yeah, there's no one up the middle. Jason Kelsey just dominated Devin White.
I mean, Vita Vea is getting pushed backwards.
There's Swift again around the corner, around the edge. He's going to get near a first down, 9 yards. Finally tackled by Christian Izien. They're inside the 10. It's first and goal. Sorry, it's second down and 1. I think they still can get a first down here inside the 10. Second and 1. Bucs are late getting a sub. They're going to call a timeout. So, yeah, I mean, we talked about just as we got back here how the Bucs were going to need to get a stop if they're going to give themselves a chance in this game. And they have quite literally done the opposite so far. I mean, hey, they could still get a big takeaway here near the goal line. They did it in week 1. But, yeah, we're up to total net yards. Got Philly at 296. The Bucs back down to 86. So, Josh, they're inching closer to being under the points the Dolphins scored.
Yeah. It's not good. And the Bucs, for them to stay in this game, it's got to be a goal line turnover.
This is a really good comment. JK says, behind every Kelsey is a Swift.
Comment of the year.
It's a good one.
Oh, if you have not put that out on social media, you need to right now. Like that is a golden tweet.
I think the Eagles are about to change this, but they're 0 for 2 in the red zone as far as touchdowns go, and the Bucs are 0 for 1. But they've got second and 1 inside the 10. Handoff and
Mayfield letting out some frustration.
Yeah, it looks like I think you're probably going to give him the first down, right? Winfield came up and met Swift, but might have gotten there. What are we seeing? Got another timeout? Going to measure?
No,
they're going to measure it.
They're going to measure. And he should be short. I don't see how he got that one. Also, can we talk about how it's, the year 2023 and we still measure things on a football field using chains? Oh, no. Yeah. They give it to him. Spot was there.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs just, I don't want to even really harp on this one because that would have been, a third and like an inch, and they could just run the push play. But the nothing's going right for the Bucs right now. Like they can't catch a break.
No.
And I think, really, really good teams tend to catch breaks more than bad to average teams. So there's that.
I think. Watch.
First and goal. Swift up the middle again. Pushes right through again. Gets to the 1 or 2 yard line. So it'll be second and goal from a yard and a half out, looks like. And this has just been like the Eagles have not even really been good in this game, but it's just been easy for them anyway.
Right. They're literally physically pushing the Bucs around.
Yeah. They're 6 of 9 on third down, over 300 yards now. And Hurts throws off of A.J. Brown's hands. So it's third and goal now. I don't know why they don't just do the push play. Like, Josh, we talked about this earlier. They went 3 straight passes inside the red zone and ended up settling for a field goal.
Their red zone play choice is perplexing. Although the one thing I will say is that's a matchup you want to exploit. A.J. Brown against D. Delaney. Here comes the push play, by the way.
Okay.
And They're not signaling a touchdown.
I think he got in.
They're not
They
signaling.
call him short.
They're calling him short.
Lane Johnson says first down, not touchdown. But I think he meant touchdown. Again, okay, so here's the thing, is if they're just going to run it again anyway, so I don't know before I even finish the sentence, but if they do for some reason go to a review here, I don't see how you can overturn it, like the way they couldn't overturn the one earlier. So who is that gets to him?
Goldstein? They're not even going to review it, and it's just an easy touchdown.
Yeah. It's touchdown Eagles, an easy push play once again.
Will Goldstein was signaling Bucs ball.
Did someone end up with the ball?
No, Jalen Hurts still has
what?
the ball.
Okay. Unless he meant they got it stuck, because it would have been a first down going the other way if he hadn't gotten it. Maybe that's what he was doing. But either way, that's just an absolutely awful drive there for the Bucs defense. 13 plays, 75 yards, 5:46 out of halftime, and it's now about to be 20-3 Eagles.
Yeah.
So the complete opposite.
And you lost your other starting cornerback.
Yeah. No, that's
a backbreaker.
That's effectively the end of the game. As Common Sensei says, it's unstoppable. Yeah, like I mean, they stop the push play once, but you're not going to be able to stop it more than that. Like it's effectively impossible. So it's 20-3. We'll see if the Bucs offense can at least make this score look a little more respectable on the other side of the break. But 9:12 to go in the third quarter. It is it's an ugly one, as I think many of us expected. But
yeah, but
still frustrating to watch nonetheless. Like I always get that feeling where it's like you can know the outcome, but it's still frustrating because
it's not so much the score at this point, but what you want to see is some positives, right? You want to see the process. So, here on offense, are we going to see a different strategy when it comes to first and second down to put them in less third downs or better third downs if at the worst case scenario? Are you going to see better execution between Baker and his receivers, specifically Mike Evans? Are you going to see something from the running game at all? What are you laughing at? What comment? Put it up.
Play irritates my soul.
Jeez, gosh. Yeah, so those are the things that you're hopefully looking for, is just how do you build something for most likely next week?
Yeah.
Right? Against New Orleans, who's most likely not going to have their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I do want to actually see if I can find this comment from, it was right around halftime. I saw some people talking in the chat, talking about these two games, the Eagles and the Saints, saying if I had to pick one of them to win, I'd pick the Saints, which, yeah, I mean, that's what you would say because it's a division game. Those games are going to be bigger in terms of the division race, which is, I mean, it's what the Bucs are looking for. I mean, I know people came into the season, not anyone that really knew anything, but people were saying the Bucs were going to be tanking for a top 5 pick and all this stuff. The Bucs' goal is to win the division, get themselves into the playoffs with a chance to do something. I don't think I've even said at the beginning of the season that I thought they had a chance to win this division. I still think they do. Yeah. It's just I don't think once they get in the playoffs, I don't see them going anywhere. That's I think their ceiling is probably winning the division first or second round exit. This is not a Super Bowl team or roster.
Right. Yeah. Unless you get some massive leaps forward by several key players and no injuries, right? Go forward. Yeah. Everybody healthy. So I think those are big things. Keep in mind, even with a loss, the Bucs are still going to have a share of the NFC South lead.
Right. Yeah.
That's where they're at. That's what a
2-1.
Yeah, that's what a 2-0 start will afford you, is a trip-up game. So,
yeah, and I think even when you looked at the last 2 weeks, beating Minnesota, I know Minnesota has not looked good at all this year, but beating Minnesota at least ensured, at the very, very least, because you knew they were going to beat Chicago, that they get to 2-2. They get the bye week at 2-2. Now, if they can split this Eagles or Saints game, that's what you're thinking going into this. If they can split these 2 games and be 3-1 going into the bye, you'd have to be pretty happy with that. But does not look like this is the one of those games that they'll win. It's 20-3, 9:12 to go in the third quarter. Adam Hamilton says, let me put it up there.
Dallas lost to Arizona.
The broadcast just alluded to that golden tweet talking about the Kelsey and Swift. They showed the back of the jersey for Jason Kelsey and DeAndre Swift.
Oh, that's awesome. Good job, JK.
So we got 1st and 10. Rashad White up the middle again. Another
yard run.
Yeah, another nothing.
Man, this is giving me PTSD for Byron Leftwich.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see much of a difference here between the two offenses last year and this year, which is saying a lot, I think. Now, because of that last drive, now look at 87 total yards in the first half, their fewest in a first half since December of 2020. What game was that? Was that the Atlanta game when they went down and then came back?
Oh, gosh. No, probably Saints. They had a Saints 9-3 game.
Was that in – no, that game was in 2021. I think that was a first down catch from Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer getting in the action.
No, I think the 9-3 game was in their Super Bowl year.
No, because they had the 38-3 one at home in their Super Bowl year.
Oh, gotcha, at home.
So, okay. I think it was 9-0 maybe, 2021. So I'm trying to think that December is when they kind of turned it on. They beat the Vikings out of the bye. They went down to the Falcons. I'm thinking it was that game in Atlanta. Rashad up the middle again, has to make a guy that's in the backfield and still 2 or 3 yards up the middle.
You're down by 17 in the second half, and it's first down run after first down run after first down run.
John Doe says, keep running. I'm sure they'll eventually break one.
Right. Like,
keep going.
Even Canales is shaking his head. You're the one calling the plays.
Man. Rolling right, he throws. Evans can't come up with it. Looks like it's still raining pretty.
Yeah.
As one of the Bucs staffers on the sideline just put their belly out on national TV. That was kind of funny.
They just can't catch a break.
And
that pun was 1,000% intended.
3rd and 7. Yeah, not the best game so far for, really anyone, but Mike Evans has not been up to his level. Oh, Baker escapes. He throws deep for Evans into double coverage, and that's just going to be overthrown.
And he looks like he's wincing coming off them.
Yeah, he is. And his arm is, I don't want to say it's fully hanging, but his arm was just kind of not looking comfortable.
Hit right as he launched that.
Yeah, at this point, if you're the Bucs, you just want to make this not
Ainsley loses.
Look completely ugly.
Filer loses.
Yeah. It's not a hit you want to see him take. Nothing you can do about it, but with his history of shoulder injuries, like that one was tough.
Yeah, and he's getting looked at on the sideline. Looks like it was just a little check-in.
Stinger on his elbow or something. Yeah. All right, 20-3, 6:59 to go in the third quarter. At this point, is it damage control? Just don't lose this game like 40-3.
Just don't let him hang 70 on you.
Yeah, well, yeah, just don't be the Broncos, and I think you're not the worst team of the week.
Right.
But yeah, Baker got lit up on that pass.
What did Peyton say in the offseason? It was for the Hackett. It was the worst coaching performance
I've
ever seen in my life, and then somehow he managed to make it worse.
Yeah, shout out Sean Payton. Yeah,
that's what we should do for all of you Bucs fans in the chat. Your favorite Sean Payton moment, and why was it yesterday's 70-20 loss?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of Bucs fans will probably say their favorite moments were that playoff game in 2020.
Sure, that's an acceptable. That's an acceptable entry as well. But we've got to pass the time. We're in filler time at this point.
We are. Yeah, we are. We're running out the clock. I think better than the Bucs are right now.
Oh,
but
I like it.
Shout out to everyone in the chat, though. Everyone's sticking around, hanging out with us. Adam says, yo, if they put up 70. Brian Shaw says, put Trask in. Mayfield has taken enough of beating. It's only week 3. Says Baker won't last the season like this. What do you think about this, Josh? Byron Turner says, I still don't think this is as bad as Lefty. I think I agree, but it's...
yeah. I mean, look, for anybody to say it's as bad as Lefty, there's got to be sustained poor decision making when it comes to play calling, right? The big thing with Byron is a refusal to adapt or evolve. I think one of the things that you can say about Canales is he's shown a willingness to learn from his mistakes. He will hopefully go back and take a look at this and say, there's a lot of, things that I could have done better there. Everyone's going to have to say that. Execution's going to have to be better. The play calling's going to have to be better. All of it. But the thing with Leftwich was a dogmatic refusal to move off of what he was brought up in.
Yeah. DeAndre Swift gets the carry and breaks a tackle from Ryan Neal, and he's up for another 8 yards. They stopped him near the line of scrimmage, so that should have been maybe a 1 or 2 yard gain, and it was an 8 yard gain.
Just everything that can go wrong is going wrong. So Neal went for the ball.
Okay.
That's what it was. He was trying to strip the ball rather than tackle.
Someone said, where is it? Hey, if I can, it was at Ingles. If I can watch when Tampa got smoked by Atlanta 56-0 with Lovey, then I can handle this. This is nothing. I agree.
Callous.
That 56-0 game on a Thursday night was.
I remember that game. That
one
game
of the worst I've ever seen.
Oh.
Joel says, don't remind us of the Lovey days. I had season tickets during the Lovey Smith era.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
Is that why you don't anymore?
Back in high school. Well, the first year they went 0-8 at home, so they're going on the push play again here on 3rd and 1.
And they definitely got it. The most beautiful play in football.
It's so annoying to watch. I can't even Is anyone entertained by this?
So it reminds me of when I was a kid. I was in like 6th grade, and I was a grade ahead of my age group. Plus, I was small for my age, and there was a group of high school kids. I'll let you call this play, and then I'll jump back into stories of my youth.
Hurts in the gun on 1st and 10. JTS kind of nearly gets to him. He throws for, was that Stoll? 6 yards. Go on, Josh.
So there was these high school kids who had a regular game of 2-man touch football the way we played in the street in my neighborhood after school. And of course I wanted to join because, I want to be like the bigger kids. So obviously I'm not faster. I'm not bigger than them. How can I contribute? So the rules that we played were 2 completions get you another first down, right? And I will pause again.
I don't like the sound of that, Josh. Oh,
Yeah,
there goes DeAndre Swift once again. Josh, how do you feel about somehow getting to Tampa right now and suiting up? You might have a shot of looking at least the same as this run defense, because
that's about all I could hope for. But you know what? It may happen. I mean, Yaya Diaby got worked. Levante David got moved.
So Diaby got hurt, or not got hurt. He got worked, but it looked like Dickerson was one that came away hurt on that one.
Oh, maybe. So to finish up my story, the rules that we played were 2 completions got you a first down, right?
Mhm.
So the only way I could figure out to contribute on offense, me being this tiny little kid playing with all these much older and bigger kids, was when the quarterback's at hike, I would literally take one step forward, twist my body around, he would throw me the ball, and we would move down the field 7 inches at a time, right?
Yeah.
It was our own version of the tush push, right? It just pissed the other guys off to no end, right? So the guy covering me at one point finally goes, if you do it again, I'm just going to start tackling you. So I did it again. And he was true to his word.
Mm.
And that would be the first of up to 11 or 12 concussions in my life.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was the worst too. Like that one made me like susceptible to more. I woke up 3 days later with zero recollection of what happened.
Oh, no.
So I don't really have anything to correlate. Just that was my version of the tush push.
Your version of
much worse outcome.
Yeah, yours had worse consequences. The Eagles don't have any consequences to theirs. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to decide if I want to address this or not. I guess I will. So long lost Glazers is Bowles standing quietly on the side like a statue, not interacting with a single person all game long. I don't think this is just a narrative about Todd Bowles that I just will never like agree with. And yeah, I know he's not the type in a game to go yell in somebody's face. But by all accounts,
Tony Dungy.
Yeah, by all accounts, like that doesn't make you a good coach. By all accounts, he will call guys out when he'll call them out privately. He will lay into people, and these players really respect him and they really like him. And so if it's something where like if they thought, oh, he's like he has no personality, he's not even like trying to win. I don't know. It's just it always bothers me because like I think it's an overplayed narrative.
I would
about
agree.
him.
That leaders come in all shapes, sizes, and with all sorts of demeanors, right? Like that is the way he leads and his team. Like you talk to any of his players, they all love playing for him. Yeah. That's the real sign of a leader, right? Shiano would yell and scream and call guys out.
And everybody hated him.
D. Delaney.
Did he catch it? D. Delaney with an interception right at the 1 yard line.
Did
D. Delaney.
D. Delaney.
What a play.
Izzian's amazing, but I've been calling for more D. Delaney snaps since the preseason.
D. Delaney with Jalen Hurts unloaded that one, and D. Delaney comes flying across Devontae Smith, gets 1 foot down, gets a second foot down, looks like in the end zone. Didn't look like he lost the ball. That's a pick.
That is a interception.
Wow. Now we've the flip side of this is the Bucs take over at their own 1 yard line. Another interception for the Bucs. Yeah, Brian Shaw says Hurts throws a punt. Although it was 1st and 10, so if we're going by that logic,
yeah, that was hardly a punt.
But yeah, 99 yards to go. I think this Bucs offense can go 99 yards. They've proven capable.
99 yards to go.
This is where you run the
beers on the wall thing.
This is where you run the the Ronald Jones play where he scored a 98-yard touchdown against Carolina in 2020.
Yeah. What are they signaling?
I'm not really sure. Touchback?
I don't think so. They're all lined up on the wall.
Okay, then I don't know what that whole little signal was. Both refs were doing it.
I mean, they're not far
the Bucs
from
are completely backed up.
That's okay.
Oh, we're looking at a safety here?
We are.
Yeah, of course we are.
First
it was
down
almost
run.
like, oh my goodness.
I mean, I get it. Backed up in your own end zone, that was always going to be a first down run, but it's the.
It was always going to be a first down run, but that was always going to be the outcome. Like they have not been running. They have not been able to do that all. They've not been able to run the ball all night, and so this was going to happen. It was just easy too. Like he didn't even he got the ball and took one step.
I mean, Aaron Stinney was in, and like Robert Hainsey was somehow on his knees in the middle of that block. Was it Hainsey or it might have been Malk? I don't know.
Well, I know Malk got knocked on his back. I don't know if.
So Delaney basically gave the Eagles 2 points and the ball back.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Delaney.
His second career interception. It's 22-3.
Man, we were all being very generous.
Yeah.
We made our score predictions.
What did I give him? I think I gave him 14.
Yeah, I think, and you were probably the lowest.
Are we going to get an offsides on the kickoff there?
We may have it just a kickoff or a punt. I'm not sure what that's considered at this point. Punt return for a touchdown.
This coverage unit stinks.
Yep.
What do we have here, though? This ref looks perpetually confused.
Does he? Where am I? Earlier, I was saying when we couldn't figure out like what he was doing, I was like, "Well, TPA is not that far. Maybe he was trying to land a Delta flight."
Yeah, just looking around for someone to talk to. We have offside. Okay, now he's confused again. He went to make the offside signal. Yeah, it was an offside on the free kick. Okay. 3:31 to go in the third quarter. And I think everyone probably just wants this one to end.
And not if you're a Philly fan. This is a get-right game for them. And they still have a lot of stuff to work on. They've turned.
That's the thing. Is like I look at this game for them, and I'm like, how much do they really take away from like? Yeah, we can just run the ball on this defense. Like,
dude, they've got the Madden settings on easy right now.
The level they're on, like they're looking at the Bucs the same way the Bucs are probably looking at the Vikings and the Bears.
Are you gonna watch that Toy Story game?
Oh, when is this? When is this? I
want to say it's not. Is it next week? I think it's next Saturday morning or Sunday morning because it's a Europe game.
Oh, okay. Probably not. I will be. I mean, I would if I was home. I think I'm driving back from Orlando that morning in time for the Bucs 1 o'clock kick. So, because now that I remember that, my good lady was not happy that we were going to miss that because she wanted to watch the Toy Story broadcast. So the Eagles have the ball back after that. Great interception by D. Delaney, though.
And hey,
nice
take
little
the positives
highlight.
where you can find them. Look at that. 11 rushing first downs for the Eagles, 0 for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Bucs have 7 first downs overall to Philly's 20. This has been, I mean, it's a 19-point game, which is, it's a blowout, but it's
embarrassing.
Could be like 34 or 38-3 right now.
Yeah.
And once again, DeAndre Swift evades the first tackler, was Pat O'Connor, and then Delaney coming up, the tackle. D. Delaney's just taking his opportunity and running with it at this point. This game, he's like, this game's over. This game sucks, but I'm going to keep playing. But this is one of those miserable games, too. Like, you just know, like, you're getting your butts kicked. You are in the rain, and there's just nothing you can do to stop anything.
Yep.
It's over. We're playing out the rest of this game, but it's over.
Izzy keeps slowing up on his slot blitzes.
A.J. Brown first down. He flips a tackle, and he's finally out of bounds around the 25-yard line. I'm waiting for the chat to start blaming me being here instead of Matt for this game. That's where we've reached. 26-yard gain for A.J. Brown. A little more involved tonight than he was against Minnesota. I'll probably be happy. 6 catches, 87 yards.
So now I'm just trolling Cornell. I just put out, can a certain somebody please tweet out all the positives?
Josh, Michael M wants to know, where do we go from here? It's only week 3.
Yeah, I mean, you throw this game out. Like, I mean, this isn't great. There's not a whole lot on defense you can learn from this. I mean, they're just getting blown off the ball. Hopefully Canales takes his lumps as a play caller and says, I've got to be smarter in terms of how I call and set up later downs and really try and avoid them altogether. Baker and Evans need to get back to the drawing board.
A.J. Brown again. D. Delaney can't get him. He's just going to toy with the Bucs secondary. Up to about the – looks like Jamel Dean's hurt. That's not Jamel Dean. That's D. Delaney. He's shaken up.
I think he's all right.
Okay. Into the third quarter. But we got a comment here that says this game was an L when we got the schedule. Good news that play the Saints with a 2-1 record. Yeah, we were talking a little about that earlier, where it's just you head into that game tied for the division lead with the Falcons and the Saints with a chance to at least I remember who the Falcons have next week. Are they the London game?
Yes, because that's the Toy Story game.
Okay.
I don't know if it's London, but I think it's England. Is it like
9:30 a.m.
Tottenham?
Tottenham, yeah, that's my team.
Is that a London? Like, are they based in London?
Yeah,
okay.
North London.
Gotcha. Are they any good?
They're solid this year. They had a new manager come in and completely change the style of play they're playing. Brought in a bunch of new players. One of their best players ever is now in Germany, but they haven't really missed him a ton, which is surprising. What was I was bringing up a comment here and I got sidetracked by my love for Tottenham Hotspur. It was Josh S. saying most disappointing list, everyone.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I'm not on that one.
Let's see what else we got here. Bryant Gomez has been at dinner and only now have the audio of the game. What in the hell is going on? This is rough. The Bucs can't stop the run. They can't run the ball. Can't really protect Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans is not really coming up with the catches that he should be coming up with. Nothing good. Nothing good. If you're still at dinner, if you're on your way home from dinner, maybe just stop off and get some dessert. Keep watching us, though. So James Wilder, I don't think this is the James Wilder, says, I have yet to hear one criticism of Baker. Thoughts on that, Josh? I mean, I don't know what he can really do. He hasn't been good in this game. He's missed a lot of throws, but the offense isn't putting anything together.
So first of all, I think both Bailey and I talked about how some of his passes to Evans were not the most catchable balls, but Evans got his hands on them, and it's on both sides, right? Like, I think the way I said it is, if you want to be a $28 million receiver, you got to catch it, but also if you want to be a franchise quarterback, you got to throw a better ball. The interception was egregious. Like, he just threw it right into coverage.
Yeah.
At the same time, Baker's being put in really bad position. He's having to try and get out of a ton of pressure because his offensive line can't give him the time to throw. And then he's being asked to just win on third down over and over and over. And it worked the first 2 weeks, but it's not sustainable. So he's being put he's being put in really bad positions, and then he's not stepping up. So he is the least of the problems. Baker was playing well earlier in the game, and he was getting let down by some other people. And then things started to spiral, and when things spiral, Baker didn't rise to the occasion to turn it around.
Yeah, and Samuel Wyatt says the interior line has not helped him at all. Yeah, I think the offensive line in general has not. Bryant says, "Oh well, yeah, I'm home now and watching. Dinner was good though. Glad you had a good dinner. You didn't miss anything too exciting." Eagles have second and goal here. Gainwell in the game. Gainwell up the middle for a few. Winfield comes up. and it looks like it'll be 3rd and goal from about the 2. Yeah, LH the Great says, we were punching way above our weight class. You throw this tape out and move forward. You're never as bad as your worst, and this is our worst. It's about how he bounced back.
I think that's a really great way of putting it.
Yeah. Eagles now going to run the – no, they're not going to run the push play again yet. 3rd and goal. They're kind of – nope, fakes the push play, and Hurts falls down. Is this their version of your consequences? Your consequences to your equivalent of the push play?
It might be.
Theirs are a little less.
I wish I would have put that bad juju on them earlier in the game, though.
Engel says Camarda, best player of the game. Josh will agree with you.
Yes.
Brian Shaw says Camarda is a beast. Yeah, let's just get some love for Jake Camarda.
I'm telling you.
Here's a question. It could be interesting. I don't really know who all is still out there, but waivers, who knows? It says, which position are you looking at hardest at when you look at the free agent wire tomorrow? O-line or running back or anything?
There's nobody out there that's going to make any type of appreciable improvement. Like
you don't want to play off Lenny back? I don't know what I was expecting in response. I didn't expect that whatever that cough / choke was.
I didn't see that coming. You got me good.
Yeah. Okay, so Jake Elliott just kicked a short field goal, 26-yarder to make it 25-3, and the Bucs will now get the ball back. So the time of possession was actually pretty close in the first half.
Yep.
And it's now 29 minutes, about 29 and a half minutes for Philly, and about 17 minutes for the Bucs. The whole third quarter essentially was Philly, and then the Bucs briefly got the ball back there at the end with the interception, and then it's a safety. So right back to Josh. What are your thoughts on Brian Shaw saying Kamara is the best player on the team? No joke.
Tristan Wirfs still exists.
He does.
And I'm as high on Camarda as anybody on this earth. As I've said many times, I'm hoping that I will be able to write the story of his Hall of Fame career and be the one to introduce him in Canton. But Tristan Wirfs still exists.
What do you I don't know if I've ever really – I can't remember. Where did this all start with your fandom of Jake Camarda?
I was live on air with John Ledyard when the draft pick was made, and we were losing it. We were laughing so hard. And I was like, all right, for them to take a punter in the 4th round, let me go look this dude up. And then I just start watching all of his Georgia tape. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and keep in mind, this was the year that Areza, right? Buffalo took him, I think, but he wasn't even the first punter off the board. But there were some dudes like Stonehouse. There were some really good punters in that draft, as I came to find out later on. And most of them, it was just big booming legs. But what Camarda could do that many of them couldn't was kind of drop the short punt, right?
Yeah.
And as I did like a profile, and I ended up like creating a punter statistic, got put in touch with a punters only Twitter account, and the guys behind it, the punt runts, started tracking punter EPA, and it's just kind of evolved from there. And I mean, Camarda's like a legit athlete. I mean, dude ran like a 4.5, something like that, 40-yard dash. And then some of the things that he's done, I mean, was it the Seahawks game last year where he ends up like taking off and like left foot punting it from the side?
It was the Panthers. The Panthers,
that's what it was.
They won the division because of that, pretty much.
Yeah. So and I've come to appreciate, like, I mean, the dude's good. It's fun to watch.
I think JK has been the MVP tonight. Really good poster. They're calling him the real punt god. And then this one I have to go back to. JK says that the Golden Bachelor has a better chance of scoring than the Bucs. Another good one. JK is just landing himself on him or herself on the most impressive list.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's Mike Evans.
There you go. Yep, there's the connection.
24-yard pickup, just a near midfield.
I saw a promo for the Golden Bachelor, and like all the women were like in the kitchen together about to like cheers, and one of them said, "Here's to not being able to get pregnant."
Oh man. Let's see. All right, Bucs right near midfield. Baker empty. Has a little bit of time over the middle. It's oh my goodness, what a catch by Mike Evans.
That's the catch they needed earlier in the game.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. He stretched out for that one, and I think for a quick second was on the defender's back. His back was on the defender's back. I'm pretty sure. Looking at Blankenship's like, oh yeah, he's got his back on Blankenship's neck just for a quick second. What a catch. Brian says now he wants to catch passes. Not like he didn't want to catch them earlier, but it just didn't work out for him. But yeah, 24 yards and 22 yards back to back for Evans. Run up the middle for Rachaad White. He breaks out to the outside. He's going to pick up close to a first down.
Yeah.
Might be the Bucs' first rushing first down. We've got a $4.99 super chat from Trustin Vorbeck.
Super chat. Let's
Shout out
go,
to the super
Trustin.
chats. Let's get those super chats up here down the stretch in this game. This game has been something. Not great. Let's get those super chats up. We got one from Trustin here. Question: what has been worse tonight, O-line or the secondary? O-line, right?
I would say yes. The
Yeah.
O-line, you basically have all of your starters in. The secondary, you're working with a lot of backups.
Right.
The secondary, I mean, there are certain teams you don't want to run spot drop cover 3 against, and the Eagles have the kind of offense that's going to feast against that. So they're not put in the greatest position. The O-line, like, it's your job to beat the dude in front of you, as good as he is.
And even then, like it's not like the secondary's been like good. And again, it's backups, but it's the problem with the defense tonight has been the run defense. Because I mean, Hurts has been pretty efficient. He's 19 of 32, 232 yards. I guess like he hasn't had the best game passing, but he hasn't had to because the run defense has been so bad. On the other hand, it's the offensive line who has just been unable to get any push in the run game as Rachaad White gets near another first down. They're inside the 10. Third down and short coming up here. They haven't got any push in the run game. They haven't been able to protect Baker very well. I mean, we talked heavily about it leading into this game with how much or how good this defensive front was for the Eagles and how it could be. They had a potential to really just render the entire Bucs offense useless, and they kind of have throughout the night. It hasn't even been like as pronounced as I kind of expected. All right, there's Baker throwing to Chris Godwin down to the 1 yard line. So first down, Bucs down to first and goal. But it hasn't been a thing where Baker's been sacked 8 times or anything like that. It's just they haven't been able to get any push in the run game, and that's been the whole thing.
Yeah, my fantasy team really could have used Godwin getting that over the end zone.
Yeah, I'd say mine could too. But thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Trustin. That's awesome. On a day like this, for you to put out a super chat, that is an awesome thing.
So Baker misfires there on first and goal, second and goal now. I feel like it says a lot. They're at the 1 yard line. They feel like they can't even they did not try to run the ball there. I don't think they're very confident in their ability to get one.
No, not at all.
We'll see if they go for it here. Go with a run here.
They have zero confidence in being able to get push, and for reasons like this.
They're running it out of shotgun.
Yep.
So they ran it out of shotgun, and Rachaad gets stopped. So now third and goal at the 1. We have another super chat from Trustin. It's a 1999 one.
Whoa, Trustin!
1999.
Trustin!
Coming through clutch.
I think you, buddy.
Trustin said when I called JK the MVP or on the most impressive. Trustin said they took that personally. So 1999. We'll get to this question in 1 second. It's third and goal from the 1. We've got Godwin moving in. They're under center. Baker throws for Mike Evans. Touchdown. There we go. Touchdown, Mike Evans. We've got 3 catches on the drive. It was his drive. The Bucs are in the end zone. 25-9. A 1 yard touchdown catch from Mike Evans. right before. Oh, they are going to go for 2. So we'll see. We'll get to the super chat here from Trust 1999. We appreciate you. We'll get to this right after the 2-point try once we get into a quick commercial break.
So going
for the
for 2
broadcast,
because you're down 19. If you get 2 touchdowns and 2-point conversions, you only need a field goal to tie. And they get it.
There you go. Baker
to
finds
Godwin in the back of the end zone.
25-11. 25-11, 9:22 to go. Bucs finally finding something on that drive. It was a big Mike Evans drive, 2 big 20-plus yard catches. And
all right,
they're within
so trust
14.
Yeah, so Justin, what's worse, our D-line or our O-line? The O-line is trying to compete, okay? For me, I look at the O-line and every single rep, they are giving it their all. They are just outmanned. The Eagles' D-line is just better, okay? On the defensive line, it just looks like – for me, the defensive line looks listless. So I would say the D-line is worse.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed with. I don't know. It's hard to say without looking at it further. I think Vita's probably facing a lot of double teams right now. I don't think he's been able to impact. He hasn't been able to impact this game at all.
Yeah, and I think his injury is much more significant in terms of how it's affecting him.
Yeah.
Than probably anybody wanted to admit at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is like. This was not a good matchup for either side of the Bucs line, the O-line or the D-line. It's been tough. It's been tough for them, but they were able to find something there at least. I want to shout out Trustin for 1999 super chat after another super chat.
Yeah, and then
do we have any shot on the? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to do the same thing you're doing, so go for it.
Yeah, second part of the question: do we have any shot of the NFC South this year if we can't run? Love you guys, even if we go 2-15. If they can't run.
They didn't run last year.
Yeah,
they won the NFC South. So, yeah, it's a down division, so you can score points throwing the ball. There are lots of teams, basically anybody playing against the Chargers right now is doing that. So, yeah, it's possible. Is it something that you want to build multiple years on? No, they need to figure that part out.
Yeah.
So, and as far as the 2-15, Trustin, nobody on the Pewter Report staff predicted this team to go 2-15, and we all saw them losing to the Eagles.
Yeah,
I think I'm the most down on them for season-long predictions. I think I had them at 6-11. I think most of the rest of you were somewhere between 8 and 9 wins.
I had 9.
Yeah.
I had 9. I think I had 9 even with like the caveat that I am taking the optimistic approach because I think 9 wins is 9 or 10 wins, I guess, would be their ceiling, and it's very rare. I think I don't know. It's hard to say because there's been Bucs teams in the past that have had a ceiling around there and they haven't even come close to it. So yeah, they could fall way short of that, but I feel like the schedule does work out in their favor in a lot of ways, and they have enough, I think, to compete in most games. As Kamara kicks this one through the back of the end zone. So 25-11, 9:22 to go. Again, shout out Trustin for the super chats. Really, really, really appreciate that.
I think I had
Trustin gave us another super chat. $9.99 now.
Let's go, Trustin.
Trustin, you think we can come back? Do we have hope? 2 big stops. Let's run down the damn field. It took me a second to figure out what that was. Are we going to hold them to 25? Pewter Report is the best. Is anyone with me? Go Bucs. Yeah, I'd say I agree that Pewter Report is the best.
I would agree with that. They're only down by 14 right now. So, they could still come back and win this. We saw Green Bay entered the fourth quarter against the Saints down 16-0 yesterday and ended up winning 17-16. It's going to require a turnover. And you figure Philly's probably going to be running almost exclusively for the rest of the fourth quarter. So is it likely, Trustin? No. But if you give us another super chat, I will tell you it's likely at that point.
I was just about to say, I think I'm going to be the downer and say the way the Philly's running the ball, the Bucs might get the ball back with like 4 minutes to go at this point. depending on what they do here. But trust them, we really appreciate the super chats. Comment Sensei says, trust and wow. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Jamel Dean with a shoulder injury has been downgraded to out. I think we pretty much knew that was coming. Brian Hernandez says, I have no faith in this defense, and they are living up to your comment right now. They give a first down across the 35 to Dallas Goedert. 199 from Trustin said, so it's likely, Josh? You did say another super chat would.
So it's likely. Trustin gave us another super chat. Yeah,
it's likely coming. They come back.
It's coming right here. Yeah. Peanut punch. Right after this play, actually. Scoop and score.
Those like Pitts, I think, with their tackle there, shoestring tackle.
Yeah. And the shrug, like, I don't know how I did that.
I appreciate it again, Trustin. That's huge. MVP. That was a
his head got worked over by Gainwell's knee.
We're approaching the 7-minute mark. Bucs down 14. Gainwell up the middle, just short of the first down. I don't know what Goddard was doing there with Devin White. But it's 3rd and 1. Eagles have 188 rushing yards to the Bucs 41. Less than ideal on both sides there. But no, I mean, if they can get a stop, like you get into the moral victory territory here, but you're like 25-11, or if they can put up another score, it looks a lot better than it has been.
Yep. Well, again, you're looking for any positive you can get, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if we had a strong fourth quarter.
I have a wild comparison because it just made me think of this. Remember in 2020 when they were getting just beaten down by the Chiefs in the first half, they had a good second half, nearly won that game. Nearly came back. If there had been a few more minutes, they might have won it. And then they didn't lose for the rest of the season. So it's one of those things where they built on that second half and found some things. And if the Bucs can find some things down the stretch here, I'm not saying they're going to – Trustin just gave us another super chat. It says, my wife just saw my bank account. Bye, guys. Go Bucs. We appreciate you, Trustin, for the super chats.
Trustin and JK,
yeah.
We've had the Eagles of comments in here tonight.
We have. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, it was what I was saying. If they build off something, if they can find something to build off of with the rest of this game, I'm not saying they're going to win the rest of their games or win the Super Bowl, but just an example. It wasn't really a direct comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it's week 3. They're still figuring out their identity.
Yeah. And a winnable game next week. I know they can struggle in the Superdome. It's a tough place to play. They won there last year. It's always tough, but a winnable game, I'd say. I think they will like their chances of going into the bye at 3-1.
I don't know. And the Saints I will say the Saints don't have nearly as good of an offensive line.
No.
I think the Bucs would be much more competitive there. Defensive line, their edges, Carl Granderson and Cam Jordan are still solid.
Yeah.
But inside, I mean, Brian Brzee, like, that's their dude inside at this point, a rookie who I wasn't that high on coming out of Clemson, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it will depend on Jamel Dean's health. It'll depend on Carlton Davis's health. Hopefully they can get Kalijah Kancey back. There's a dog stomping around upstairs here. I don't know what's happening. But, yeah, I think a lot of it depends on health. Hopefully they can get Kancey back. Hopefully, whatever whatever can be done to get Vita feeling back to closer to 100% again would be helpful. It's a lot of that others showing the Rondé Barber Hall of Fame ceremony they did at halftime for him. he deserved a better performance than this.
He did.
But he did. Oh, they're doing the push play again here on 3rd and 1. I'm
That's
sure they got
like
it.
4th time they've done it. 5th time?
Easily, yeah. They called a timeout to do that. Why didn't they just do that to begin with? Rondé had a comment at halftime while he was talking. He said he appreciated all the Philly fans who traveled down to celebrate with him. Trustin just said, "My dog stomped too. Go Bucs." 199 super chat from Trustin. So moving that money around and making the bank account look better. Okay, 1st and 10, and I did say that at this rate the Bucs were going to get the ball back with like 4 minutes left. It's 5:48 to go, and they're still running on 1st and 10. Oh, a negative run.
Yep.
It's a tackle for loss. Ryan Neal was in on it. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was in it. JTS was in on it too. So a negative run, one of the few for Philly tonight. 2nd and 13 coming up, but the clock is ticking. First Name Greatest says, why don't the Bucs do that? The push play.
I mean, you got to remember, Jalen Hurts' lower half is incredible. Not every quarterback is built that way. You put most of these guys in there, they're going to get folded up like a pretzel.
Daniel asks what the Bucs record in Ring of Honor games is.
Holy!
It is. What just happened? Did he catch that? Oh.
You'll see in a second. No, they're waving it off, but it certainly looked like he did.
Did Devin White just fall down? So Hurts throws deep to Kenneth Gainwell, who I guess it looked like he almost rolled off of Devin White right there, and then.
If I'm Philly, I might be challenging that.
I think.
It bounced. Okay, all right. That ref has much better eyes than any baseball umpire I've ever seen. That's
fair. Yeah. So the Ring of Honor. This isn't technically a Ring of Honor game because they didn't. I mean, Rondé was already inducted. It wasn't good. I know the Ring of Honor record was like something close, like 4-9 or something like that.
I think they won
up until
Arians.
A couple years ago. They won Bruce Arians last year. They won, I believe, Monty Kiffin's the year before. Was it Monty Kiffin that year? I think they've won 2 straight, but yeah, no Ring of Honor inductees. Oh, there we go. Who was that on that tackle? Yeah, there was no Ring of Honor inductees this year. Still, they have plenty of guys they could add in there, but look at that. K-Day says, "Hey from Manchester, England."
There you go.
People watching all over the world. Of course, we always do.
Who is your European football team of choice?
Yeah, we also always, of course, do roll call.
Yeah.
Normally on Mondays, but not the case today. We have the podcast. We have the Pewter GameDay Show, but we appreciate all of our viewers and listeners from all over the world as the Eagles get inside the 25.
That's actually something we can do to close out this game. I need a European football team to root for.
It says Manchester City is my team, born and bred Manchester lad.
All right, so
I will tell you, Josh.
Maybe that
Manchester City is like if you pick them, everyone will call you a front runner.
Okay, I thought that was Man U.
No, not these days.
Okay. All right. So no Man City because I'm getting in late. No Man U because #Glazers out, I believe.
That's a great question.
I can't do Tottenham. I can't do Tottenham.
Has Philly punted? I don't believe they have. They did once. Because I remember I said that their punter wasn't as good as Jake Camarda.
Yeah. So I can't do Tottenham because I'm legally bound to not root for the same teams that you do.
Oh, okay. Are you not a Tampa Bay Rays fan, sir?
For anything called football.
Okay. Common Sense says Man U is like the Cowboys.
Okay. So I can't do Wrexham because, again, just bandwagoning.
What am I seeing on my TV right now? Man with a silver face and a mohawk.
Another first down for Philly.
Yep, another first down. I said they were getting the ball back with 4 minutes left. I was wrong. There's now
they may not get the ball back.
3:14 to go. This is actually a very interesting question. This is where we are in the game. K-Day says, interested in host view. It says, do you think the NFL could benefit from a league pyramid system like in soccer, relegation and promotion? For example, bottom three go down in a league, and top three of lower league promoted to the NFL. There's not a system like, I guess I don't think you would ever get the NFL to agree to something like that with the USFL or the XFL.
So
but I love the way they do it in Europe. It's just it has not been a thing that I don't think it, because of the franchise-based system, the way they do it in America, it would never be agreed to.
So I'm less familiar with the European. Like I understand relegation and promotion. Like I totally get that. I watched Ted Lasso. I know everything now, right?
Nice.
What I don't know is whether there is a salary cap, because I think that's the one thing that would be a huge point to the other side with the NFL is because of the salary cap. You have legitimate parity throughout the league, where teams usually aren't, unless they're completely mismanaged, which is something completely different. Promotion and relegation aren't really going to help that. For the most part, teams do not stay bottom dwellers because they build up the draft capital to get the players they need to then be good, right?
Yeah.
So you look at like the Jaguars were worst team in the league a couple of years ago. Last year they made the playoffs, right? The Bucs have gone through that roller coaster a few times. So I don't think that that's necessary for the NFL. I think that could be something that you do with maybe like Major League Baseball.
I know. I mean, they're talking about it with some of the American soccer leagues. I think the United Soccer League, which is like the second tier, is talking about doing it within their league system. But the MLS will never go for it just because of the owners' fees that you have to pay, I guess, to become a franchise in the MLS. They're not like they would not agree to anything like that because they lose too much money. But yeah, no, I love the way they do it, the European system. But something I've heard they're talking about doing with college football, apparently. Not with college football in general. I think it's because of where the Pac-12 is, where they have two teams left. They're talking about doing like a merger with the Mountain West, and then maybe doing kind of like a promotion relegation thing between those two leagues. Not really sure how the structure would work, but when I read it, it sounded interesting. So we're at the 2-minute warning. 25-11 Eagles. They're on the doorstep trying to score again. They're on a 12-play, 58-yard drive right now. 7:22 has been taken off the clock, all the way down to the 2-minute warning. Josh, you think they punch it in here? Or do you think?
Probably.
Yeah, because the Bucs have two timeouts left. So
Yeah.
it's not one of those things where they're going to get to the 17 and just say, all right, let's run the clock and let's get out of here. But the final scoreline would look a lot better if that's what they did. But instead, might not look the same. Every time I see David Harbour, I just think of him as Hopper from Stranger Things. I can't see him as anything else. He's one of those actors.
See, I best know him from, like, I was originally introduced to him from The Newsroom. So
Okay.
I always see him as Elliot from The Newsroom.
Gotcha. This is the so the Bucs are 5 of 10 on third downs. Philly is 10 of 15. So yeah, the Bucs have gotten the Eagles to third down plenty of times, but can't stop them because it's always a third and short, third and manageable. I think out of those 10 conversions, like 3 or 4 of them have been on the push play. But it's 2nd and 8 at the 17 now. Hurts takes the snap, hands off to Gainwell. He stopped for about 1 or 2, looks like. Down to the 15. Clock continues to run. Doesn't look like the Bucs are interested in calling a timeout. John says, I can't believe how thin we are at corner. Yeah, not a lot of depth there. Yeah, I can see how they got there, but
I can see, yeah. I mean, this was something we talked about when the season started. Like, they did not totally invest. I can't say they didn't totally invest. I mean, Izzian has been a revelation at nickel. They did draft Josh Hayes, but they drafted him in the 5th round. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you had D. Delaney, who Bowles doesn't seem to believe in at all, because he just wouldn't get him out on the field unless he lost 2 corners. And you were hoping Zion McCollum would, blossom. But again, a 5th rounder from last year. Like, this was foreseeable because lots of people foresaw it.
So the Eagles have a 4th and 2 with under a minute left. The clock is running, and they are going for it.
And they're passing.
They're passing, and they get it because they have to feed A.J. Brown's ego. First down, 30 seconds left. I'm really wondering if they're about to just hurry up and run a play here and try to throw it to A.J. Brown. Brown, 9 catches for 131 yards. I think he probably won't be upset with Jalen Hurts this week. Maybe Devontae Smith will be. Four catches for 28 yards, but that'll be the end of it. It'll be 25-11 as the final score. That the scoreline could have looked so much worse than it did.
So much worse.
It could have looked a lot worse than it did. But, yeah, we do appreciate everyone sticking around here in the chat.
For those of you who super chatted, thank you very much.
Justin, we
absolutely appreciate that.
The final score, of course, 25-11. We will have the Pewter postgame show coming up. We'll hear from Todd Bowles first, and I believe Baker Mayfield. And I doubt usually we might not see another player. So it might be Bowles and Mayfield. And then we'll have the Pewter postgame show coming up shortly. But shout out again to everyone in the chat. Bryant says, did we beat the spread? No, the Bucs did not beat the spread.
No, they were
5.5 point underdogs. So not beating the spread there. It was it was a tough one. Let me see if I can find the. Nope, doesn't look like I can. 5.5 point underdogs. They didn't come close, but we do appreciate everyone for hanging out with us, watching the game with us. We'll have the Pewter post game show coming up, and then we'll have the podcast throughout the rest of the week. Stay tuned to PewterReport.com, post game recap, most impressive, most disappointing, of course. And we always appreciate you guys rocking with us here on the Pewter GameDay Show. For Josh Capo, I am Bailey Adams, and we will talk to you soon after the Bucs lose 25-11. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Peace.